Hey, hello, good evening. Thank you for being here. I'm Catalyst, you might know me. With me is Peppery, hello.
Hello.
How you feeling?
A little nervous. It's my first ESA, but excited.
CSA good?
Yeah,
Yes,
loving
it's
it.
good. Yeah,
Definitely.
okay, awesome. Well, guys, so first, I'm going to quickly explain what we are doing today. So this is going to be a Blackout Bingo randomizer. We're going to get 25 goals randomly generated in a 5x5 grid. And I'm going to try to complete all of them in under 2.5 hours. There's also a randomized portion of the game, which consists of the starting classes. I'm gonna have slightly different weapons on the classes than you would normally probably see, and slightly different stats. And also the weapons are randomized, right?
Yes. So the weapons are basically the only thing in the game that is randomized, and they're randomized within each weapon class. So basically, if you go around the game and you check for somewhere where there's usually an axe, it's not going to be the axe that is usually there that you would find. So it's going to be a different one from somewhere else in the game.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. So the enemies are going to be the same, obviously, because they are tied to the goals that we will now generate. And yeah, so match is going to start in about 10 seconds. As it does, I'm going to first look over the board. I'm going to see. I have no idea what's going to be there. And we'll see what early game strategy you might kind of devise. So normally in bingo, it is really important to look at the center square, as you can see right there, because it's on the diagonal, bottom left, top right, and also top left, bottom right. And then it's also on a row and a line, right? So it's in 4 different lines at the same time. Normally the goal, if you're playing this regularly, is to try and reach a line. So that's 5 in a row, whether it's a diagonal line or a column. And because I'm playing solo today, the focus is rather going to be on finding the synergies between the different squares and trying to complete them as fast as possible without really relying too much on trying to get a line as soon as possible. But normally, if you saw a one-on-one match between 2 competitors, this Killer Boss Spirit Ashes only would be a very highly contested square because it's one that can be done very quickly, and it's going to have a lot of value in 4 different lines. I also forgot to say that I am the 6th or 7th best bingo player in the world, but also the bingo champion. We had a league this season, and I managed to somehow win it. So Papri was there with me as well. So we have both competed on like the biggest Elden Ring stage before, and hopefully we will get to show you something cool today. So let's quickly go to the starting classes that we have for us here. We have Vagabond with Bastard Sword and Raptor Talons. That's not too bad. We have that. I'm not picking that. That's Poker on the Warrior. That's like not a bad weapon at all, but I don't really enjoy using it too much. The negative values that you can see next to the weapons are the amount of stats that I'm going to need to level up to be able to wield the weapons. Double Shield class, okay. I'm not picking that either, I think. Let's see what else do we have over here. There are 2 classes that are guaranteed to start with a staff and with a sorcery, and also with a seal and with an incantation, but the incantation and the sorceries are trash, so we're not going to be using that. Knight's Greatsword is not too bad, starting as Wretch without any armor, or Bastard Sword and Raptor Talons. That's an interesting choice between the 2 different weapons. I think I'm going to go ahead and start with Vagabond, simply because Bastard Sword is going to be... I'm going to be able to wield it when I two-hand, because two-handing gives you 50% extra strength, and also because I will actually start with some armor, so I'm not going to get one-shot by everything. For the starting gift, most of the time we just choose the lands between runes so that we can go ahead and level up a little bit in the early game. And yeah, we can start the time in 3, 2, 1, and go. So here we are. Looking at the board. What do we have there?
One interesting thing that you can already notice is because you started with the Raptor's Talons, one of the squares on the board is already pretty easy to complete, which is the Kill Remembrance boss with Daggers, Claws, or Fists only. So basically you just through the Bastard Sword already picked the best class for that as well.
Pretty much, yeah. And again, it would be a really good square because it's in the bottom left, so it's on 3 different lines at the same time, corner square. There are some really early game squares that I see. I'm not going to fight the first boss because there's no Grafted Scion as far as I'm aware, so we're not going to do that. Fastest way to get from this area is to just jump to your death like that, so let's do that. Yeah, so the fastest square that I see is probably Tree Sentinel with a +0 weapon. So we're going to fight the first boss that you see when you enter Limgrave. And then there's giving Bok his needle back. That's very quick. What else do we have there? Just doing some menuing, putting my flasks where they actually should go, where I'm used to having them. We have some really fun squares there as well for the later game. Like Mimic Tier consumables only, or killing Soju of Godric Barefists. There's Leonine Misbegotten, so we will be running to Weeping Peninsula. There's Commander O'Neill, painting rewards. There's Renala, so we'll be going through the Academy. And there's also Morgoth's Great Rune, so I'm starting to get a bit worried about this 2.5-hour estimate. But we'll try to do our best. So I'm not going to take the first Grace because there's the Spirit Ash only square. And for that, I need to go to the next Grace over there to get the Summoning Bell. And I'm just going to start by trying to destroy this guy while not getting destroyed. So we'll see how that goes.
That was definitely a square where there was quite a few deaths and where the game would already be kind of decided sometimes in the league that we just participated in. It really showed whoever was more comfortable with this boss fight. If the square was on the board, they were very ahead. And also another thing is that the Tree Sentinel drops a halberd. And there's a few pretty OP weapons in the game. Usually they're somber weapons, so there's two types of weapons for anyone who doesn't know. Somber weapons that only need 10 stones to be upgraded, and then normal smithing weapons that need 25 smithing stones. And as you can already tell, only needing 9 or 10 stones is already a lot faster to be upgraded. And so usually those are the weapons that will be preferable to go for. And the weapon that gets dropped by the Tree Sentinel is a particularly OP weapon, or he has two options for a very OP weapon, which is the Dragon Halberd.
Come back.
And his original Golden Halberd that he's wielding himself. And basically, if this one person goes for this square and another person doesn't decide to go for this square at all, so one person gets an OP weapon that already will make a big difference for the match.
Well, the one that we got is trash. It's Gargoyle Halberd, so
yeah.
Still on the lookout for a slightly better weapon. I'm going to take this Grace, as I said, because when we come back here later, Rani's going to show up and give us the Summoning Bell that we can then use to try to kill Beastman of Farmazula, which is in a cave nearby, and try to get that center square. From here, I think I'm going to jump over to this side. There's some kukri on the ground. Those are basically throwing daggers that can be very useful because they can not just be used for damage, but they are also usable as a distraction for enemies. The enemies will hear them, and then when they get, when they, for example, hit a wall, and then when they start focusing on the dagger, you can just run around them without them hearing you.
Yeah, and there's also a pretty fun cheese in Caelid. There's one Knight's Cavalry that if you throw the kukri in a very specific way, it basically tries to follow the sound and just jumps off a bridge. And that's an easy 50,000 runes that you just get for not fighting anything.
Well, actually, it's 42,000.
Oh, see, that's why you're the bingo champion, and I'm fourth place.
It was out of 8, though, so you have to say that. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start talking to Bok, who's an NPC hidden in a bush. Funnily enough, fun fact, okay, for you guys. This guy was a little bit more hidden on the original patch of the game, and people like kept on missing him too much, so they put him a little bit closer so that when you run on the path that's on my right now, you can hear him talking to you.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Very fun fact indeed.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a pretty fun square that he's working towards now, which is give Bok his needle back. Which basically you have to talk to Bok, and then you have to kill a duo enemy in a cave nearby, and that is also quite a scary square to go for because
away.
Oh, not the wife.
I missed.
Don't look.
Oh, my controller just disconnected. That's fine. Should be okay. Should be back any moment. There we go. Rani's just, you know, it's her comeback. What can I say?
Yeah, the game did not like you hitting the waifu. That's yeah, Miyazaki intervened there.
Yeah, so it's actually faster to, instead of talking to her, it's faster to hit her 3 times than the rest of the Grace. I picked up the, the bell, and now once I get some summons, I'll be able to go ahead and compete for the center square. But first I'm gonna go towards the Bog Cave that Pup talked about with the duo boss fights. And that's because there's also a merchant here. And merchants are usually really good if they can be on your path, because they have a lot of different items, and there's a chance that they might have like a decent weapon that we can get. So let's see. Meteoric Ore Blade, I'll take that. That's not too bad.
Yeah, the beach merchant was always kind of known as having the always something good. So it's a pretty fast merchant to check. So if you're kind of desperate or go towards Bog anyway, it's a really nice thing to see. And here, it's pretty dangerous square to go for, actually, especially when you have such little health. But there is, for example, a summon that you can use, Istvan. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, and he's pretty strong actually against these guys. But of course, you don't use the summon because it's faster.
Yeah, the problem with the summon is that if you summon him, the enemies are gonna have more health. But yeah, the danger about this square is not just that there's a boss here, and 2 of them actually, but that there's these minions that, as you can see, are quite annoying.
Yeah. So one strat would of course be to kill all the minions first, but that can be pretty slow. So trying to not aggro the second boss because it's sleeping in the back somewhere, and then kind of trying to maybe get a stagger off on the big guy. But
so
yeah.
you see me switch to Raptor's Talons here. That's because not only will it allow me to kill these minions pretty fast, but these guys, you can actually just interrupt them with like any attack, as you can see. Their poise is very low.
Yeah, and the bleed proc is also very nice, of course.
Yeah, that's another thing that we haven't mentioned, is that these Raptor's Talons, they, if I attack enough, they can proc bleeds, and then that's extra percentage damage instead of the flat damage that you normally deal with attacks.
Exactly. And you can see you can kill one of the bosses before you even aggro the other minions with the other boss, so that is pretty convenient and makes the fight a lot easier. Just have to be careful to not go too far into the cave.
That was the bleed proc.
Let's go.
There we go. So now the weird thing is sometimes like these minions will de-aggro immediately, and it will allow you to just teleport back to the start of the cave. Sometimes you have to wait a while. We were lucky this time, so now we're gonna talk to Bog and return his needle back.
Yeah, and as soon as the animation finished, you can mark the square, basically. And our boy will be happy to have his needle. And
so he had his needle. He died happy. Okay, let's put it that way. It was an accident. Okay, I watched the Hitman run in the morning over breakfast, and I got inspired.
It's a secret achievement, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
So here I'm gonna check this carriage. That's because this carriage normally has a greatsword, and there's some good greatswords that we can get potentially. That's not one of them, so
yeah.
rip that idea, I guess.
I mean,
well, we have the Meteoric Ore Blade, so like worst case scenario, we have a pretty decent weapon. That's a somber weapon, so we will be able to upgrade it pretty well. And the only problem is we need like in order to wield it properly, we need some intelligence levels. There's no intelligence square on the board, so there isn't much synergy there. There are no like obtaining sorceries or anything either. So it would not be my first pick for a weapon, but if you cannot find anything else, it's better to go with what you have rather than try to waste time finding something better. That's generally the rule that I would say with bingo, is like you just don't want to hesitate too much, right? You want to just think really quickly on the fly, and just go for the play you believe is the best at that point.
Yeah, definitely. Thinking too much about what square to go for next definitely will just cost you so much time, and going for the second best play rather than no play at all is so much better. And yeah, here he's picking up the boys now, basically for the kill boss Spirit Ashes only. There's 2 good options for the square for Spirit Ash to use. There's the Rot Dog that you can get in Kaled, and there's these Godric soldiers. And for the soldiers, you have to kind of trap the Beastman in a corner. You'll be able to see how to do that in a second. And with the rot dog, you basically just have to run around, hope that the dog rots the boss, and then just wait until it dies.
Like my controller just died again.
Yeah.
It's fine, I'll just run on keyboard, it's okay. So the one annoying thing about this square potentially is that it's not super guaranteed that the enemy is actually going to get trapped in the corner. So I hope that's not going to be the case, that he would jump away. Obviously, it's good if I had a shield, because then I could block him a little bit better, which I don't. Okay, let's see if this wolf follows me fast. Because I don't want to... Is he just not aggroed?
No,
Interesting.
it doesn't seem like... Yeah.
Okay, I kind of hear him, though, but we'll see. So I'm going to stand in like a specific position and try to do the summon at a specific point.
Yeah, and then you just want to corner the boss like that and have the boys do all the work for you. And now we just wait. And basically, by body blocking the boss like this, you make sure that it stays in the corner, and also that both the soldiers are close to him, because otherwise one of them will always go into a ranged option, which is a lot slower. And it just doesn't do as much damage.
Yeah, it's not just that, but you really want the mace guy to keep on attacking, because he deals more poise damage and is going to be like that. He's going to be able to interrupt the beastman and hopefully interrupt his big combos and stuff. So this RNG is really good so far. The boys are putting in work. Oh, never mind. Just see, like that was clutch right there by the mace guy. The interruption on the combo.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh-oh.
One of them is dead, but it should be fine, especially because the mace guy is still alive. Oh!
Well.
Oh!
Get him! Okay, that was the interrupt. Again, let's go.
Oh.
No. The guard break. Get him! 2 more hits. 2 more on ones. No!
Oh no! Oh no! That is one risk of this square. Is basically you have to hope for a little bit of good RNG, and I mean it looked pretty good, but yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good start, and then I don't know what happened. It's just Elden Ring for you, I guess.
Yeah.
Not a divine intervention. Yeah.
I mean, in general, this Spirit Ash is personally, for me, more my favorite than the Rot Dog. But with the Rot Dog, at least, once it's rotted, the dog can just die. And the rot is so long-lasting that basically this you can just run around for 3 minutes and wait for the rot to kill the boss, and it will count, even if the dog is already dead.
Yeah, the thing is, like, rot is a status effect that gets applied, and it deals percentage damage. So that's why it's really, really decent, because it lasts a long time, and on a boss like this, it's just going to actually end up killing them. So.
Yeah.
Okay, opens with the combo. That's not great.
Yeah,
okay,
let's see. Hopefully this time it will go better.
Yeah. So, Argig, this is a perfect time for you.
Ty, very much there, mate. We do have some donations coming in for you. We have a $50 donation here from Moon Howler 22 that says, "Hi, Cara. Hi, Pop. Good luck on the run." And then slugs.
Okay.
And then we had a $9 donation here as well. And interesting thing on this one says, "Good luck on the bingo, Papa Ray and Cara. Also, if I looked at the old tracker correctly, with this event's donations, ESA has officially raised over $1 million for charity. Congratulations!" And then finally, we got a $25 donation here as well for Alksif that says, no comment, but has put it towards our Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow upgrade to the Julius mode as well. So if you want to see our final runner of the night do a more difficult category, the Julius mode, we're already at $174 out of 500. And if you want to contribute to a momentous event, the event that puts us over the $1 million for ESA in total, then please keep your donations coming in. And also, support these two awesome runners and commentators here on the Elden Ring. You know, they are the champions of the Blackout Bingo after all.
Thank you very much, everybody, for the generosity. So we saw that we got wrecked again. So 3rd time's the charm, is what they say. I don't know who's they, but they say it.
Yeah, let's hope for the best. I don't really know what's going on here. I mean... Oh, well,
That's a terrible start,
that's
yeah.
not great at all. Yeah, and now you also have to be careful with your health. That's a rough one. Yeah. I mean, usually if this was a race, unfortunately, probably if the other person didn't struggle as much with the RNG and everything, the square could be gone, which is pretty scary with it being the center square, of course. But yeah, if that happens, we've had a few in the league where just by a second, one person sniped one of the squares away, and it actually happened like once or twice exactly with this square, and it usually makes for a pretty funny moment. But
yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna come back a little bit later for this one, and that's okay. I'm gonna maybe try to. We'll see if there's a place where I can pick up. Let's see. It would be interesting if there's a place where I can pick up some upgrades for the Spirit Ash just to make it more consistent. There's also, we can try the Road Dog, you know, we can also do that because we'll run around that. So
yeah,
we can try the Road Dog strategy.
definitely. The Rod Dog is pretty much on the way to Commander O'Neill, depending on what way you go, or like it's around in that vicinity. And the Falling Star Beast. So, I mean, that would make sense. I guess we can see both the options for Spirit Ashes.
Yeah, we'll see if the dog is going to be a little bit more successful, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. And otherwise, there's some upgrades for the Spirit Ashes down in the Underworld, usually. So, since you have to go there as well, I guess we can see what is more convenient first.
So what I'm going to do now is like a big synergy play into Caled. This is actually one of my favorite plays that I've been able to do in the league. Because there's a really good power play with Falling Star Beast, Commander O'Neill, and also Paintings. Like all of them are in that similar vicinity. And the reason it's so good is because killing Falling Star Beast also gives you Somber 6. So that is one of the Somber Stones that is a little bit more difficult to get. And that way you can, once you get a 5 somewhere in Altus, for example, or in Volcano Manor, you can upgrade your weapon quite a bit. So, because I'm gonna do the paintings, I first run to this artist shack. I look at the painting, and basically the painting reward, if you don't know how it works, is you find this painting, it shows you a location somewhere around the map, somewhat nearby, and you're supposed to go ahead and look for it. And once you find it, there's going to be basically like a chair that spawns, and there's an item pickup that you can get. So the fastest two ones are this one over here, and then one in Caled that is kind of on the way, basically, to O'Neill, or right next to O'Neill.
Yeah, exactly. And those also bring you, very close to Dectus and stuff, which is why it's such a nice square to go for. I honestly, personally, didn't ever do the painting rewards before bingo. I just never really tried to solve the puzzles. But it's pretty fun.
So there's going to be an interesting thing that I'm going to do here. I jump up and start sprinting again on the horse. And then, if I just get off the horse and open the door without moving, the enemies around here are not going to hear me. Then I'm going to crouch to make sure I don't make a sound. And when I open this trap chest, which is the fastest way to get to Caled, you can see that none of the rats are actually following me. So that's a neat little strat. Especially with this health bar, it's possible to die there. There's a stake kind of nearby, so you can spawn close, but obviously loses time. And so now I'm going to do something interesting as well. So there's a little skip in this cave. Normally, you would want to go ahead and get a grace or run around and then get the shortcut, but I'm going to try to do a little neat skip here to go directly to the boss. I'm going to first hit the wall here to hopefully aggro an enemy that's above me, and then I do this on mouse and keyboard. It's a little bit easier for me, so let's see if I can pull this off. Okay, I got to turn around, that's fine. Let's try it again, wait for the old man to do his thing.
Very nice. That was very clean.
Yeah, so there's the shortcut is right here. I'm going to activate it, because if I die on the boss, which is possible, I'm in a basically much later game area right now than I should be. I'm going to spawn right at the trap chest, and I can just climb up the ladder and come here. And on this boss fight, we're going to see how important it is to try and stagger the enemies. It's really huge in Elden Ring, because not only does it give you extra openings to be able to hit the enemy, but at the same time, it also allows you to deal 20% more damage. And as of patch 1.10, which is like basically the latest patch, the riposte on a staggered enemy also does insane damage. So
Yeah, and you'll be able to see as well that headshots do a lot more damage as well. Especially on this enemy. And there's already the first stagger. But the head unfortunately is in the wall, which is another classic Elden Ring meme.
So I can jump over this, try to hit the head like that. That's okay. There's the stagger, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do charge R2 into an R1 into a riposte. I'm gonna heal up because I don't want to get one shot by the next hit. Roll this to the side, jump R2 to the head again.
Yeah, and this was one of the most important fights to learn very clean, I would say, in the Bingo League. This and Tree Sentinel were very important. Because, like you mentioned before, that this was... it's very much on the way to a lot of things, and it gives you very good upgrade materials. And it's a pretty difficult fight as well. Yeah, this is pretty interesting because basically you can just stand in a corner, as you can see, and he won't, as long as you dodge the first one, he actually won't really catch up to you. Very nice. Alright,
Go.
GG.
So yeah, you get the Somber 6, which is really good. And another thing that's important is sometimes there's a extra synergy available to Somberstone Bell Bearings as well, which that isn't there on this board. So let me make sure that I mark the square. And so you could get like basically a double for this. So that would be really good. Okay, while I'm here, I'm gonna upgrade my flask from the golden seed that I picked up earlier, and I make sure to rest because once you travel through a trap chest, you are trapped. You cannot warp anymore. But once you rest at a grace, the game's gonna allow you to fast travel once more. And what we're going to do is we're going to head over directly to O'Neill right now in the top left. And again, this would be a very important square early on. Probably like this would be done before Falling Star Beast because it is another weapon check. He drops a halberd as well. And he is in a corner of the board, right? So it's another high value square that would probably be done very, very early in a match.
Exactly. And we'll see a pretty fun strat again. So he's gonna cheese O'Neill because fighting him is pretty annoying, especially with this health, because he summons a lot of little minions. And you can just aggro him though, and then bait him into these gazes that are all around. There was also an old strategy where you would do some parkouring and land on one of the branches, and just wait for him to basically, while you're standing on the branch, for him to just walk into the one geyser. But it was slower, and also there was a chance that if your weapon was not a certain type, like if it was made out of wood or something, then you would have to hit the branch to produce a sound for him to keep aggroed. But certain weapons just don't produce enough sound, which is pretty interesting that Elden Ring actually has, like, depending on the weapon, if you use certain tools, you can see how much sound they produce, and depending on the weapon type, it's different. And this is a way more consistent and fast strat.
Yeah, I think you're starting to get the idea what's going to be happening here. We're basically just going to try to bait him through the geysers as many times as possible. Oh, dude, calm down. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, and pretty much just trying to manage him by baiting out that one attack while you circle around him. Staying a certain distance, then running to the other side. He'll do that to turn around, then he'll walk into this direction while you stand there, and then when he's in a spot that you want him to, you go there, exactly. And we don't care too much about the damage from the mist. It's not potent enough to be scary. You don't want to be in the geyser though when it explodes.
Yeah, that deals a lot of damage.
Yeah, that would probably kill you at this point. I mean, you can see it on the boss bar, right? It deals insane damage.
So now I'm gonna try to keep him as close to the center as possible because he's gonna summon his minions, and I'm not gonna be able to like do another cycle here.
Now, you can see how he's just standing there
Yep.
waiting for the minions.
So that's why it was important to keep him in the center, so that the next geyser explosion would still reach him.
Exactly. And now also have to be a little bit careful because the minions are going to come running. And sometimes it will happen that all of a sudden you get jump scared.
And boom.
Very nice. Very clean.
So that's O'Neal. Very good. Let's see. Oh, Golden
Oh.
Halberd, not bad.
That is a very nice weapon. It's a Sombo weapon. It has a really nice moveset. Because a lot of halberds actually have... so, as you could see with the Falling Star Beast, staggering enemies is very important, right? And a lot of halberds, though, the way you stagger often is by doing a charged heavy attack. And a lot of the halberds have a really, really bad attack for that. So they're very slow and they don't deal a lot of poise damage. But the Golden Halberd actually has a really, really nice moveset for it. And also, it gives a buff. So
Yeah, it has Golden Wow, yeah, which is a buff 12.5% or so of attack and extra defense as well. So there, I picked up the second painting that we're gonna finish up here in Caelid.
Right, here we'll see Celia skip.
Yep.
It's very nice. You have to light usually the little flames in the towers, but of course that's pretty slow to do. So, and then you have to run around through the gate and so on. So, of course, really cool speedrun strats. Just doing the Skyrim strat basically of just scaling up a mountain that you're not really supposed to ride up. But there you go.
That was pretty clean.
Yeah, very clean. And that really saves so much time. Do you know how much time it exactly saves? Oh, okay.
No idea. It's probably around like 25 to 30 seconds, I think. Which doesn't sound like much when you think about like a 2.5-hour run, right? But if you're competing with someone in the early game and you're neck and neck, it's huge.
Yeah.
Basically, whoever like couldn't do that skip in the league, like they had a massive disadvantage like straight away.
Definitely. Yeah, which of course the speedrunners had quite the advantage. So, but most of the competitors learned the skip, I'd say.
Yeah. What I will say is that, you know, 8 competitors in the league, 6 of them not speedrunners, 2 of them speedrunners, and 2 of the speedrunners were in the finals. So, yeah, that kind of says a thing or two. All right, another small, cool skip here, hopefully.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. It's wee.
So normally when you use the Spirit Spring, oh, that's fine.
Yeah, that didn't
Got
work.
the slightly slower version. When you use the Spirit Spring, the game is not going to deal any fall damage to you as you land. And you can abuse it by, you know, falling down like really massive heights sometimes.
Yeah, so you
that's what we
could
did here.
skip the whole parkour section there. But it is a little tricky, like the placement of where you land exactly to skip that one branch. So, but it's not a big deal if you don't get that skip and you just do the rest normally.
All right, let's try to get our revenge on this guy. I'm gonna get the road dog that I picked up in Celia, and let's see. Let's see.
All right, let's see if the dog was better than our boys.
Yeah, the reason I want to make sure the wolf doesn't follow me is because the Spirit Ash could aggro on it through the wall, so that would be really bad.
Yeah.
Get him, boy.
And here you mostly kind of want the boss to hopefully stay on to you or protect the dog until the dog has gotten enough bites off to rot the boss. Because unfortunately the dog is pretty squishy. I mean, you can see already half his health is gone. But there's
We got the
rot.
yeah, we got the
so
proc, yeah.
now you can basically just wait around. Hopefully the dog will stay alive a little bit longer, get some more bites off, but usually it dies pretty fast, but the rot should do the rest of the work.
And as we are waiting, Argic, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much. We have a $20 donation here from Ethalon that says, "Hey Pup and Kata, good luck on the run. Excited to see you both in Bug Snacks Bingo Brawlers when it happens."
Can't wait for Season 3, let's go.
Just a little update on our incentive there. Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow, the upgrade to Julius mode that is coming up right after this run, is at $194.33. So we basically just need ourselves a very nice $306 and we will get that. You want to extend the marathon, you want to keep going, please do keep your donations coming in. And yeah, let's enjoy more of the run.
Thank you very much for your generosity, guys.
Thank you.
And there's the Beastman.
Very nice. GG. So I guess the dog did the job.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Get a dog on the job if you can. All right, so now we definitely need to go to Liurnia, right? But there are two ways. You can either completely skip Stormveil Castle or you can go through it. The better play here would be to go through it simply because we have some objectives to do there. So it's better to run through Stormveil and then, you know, exit into Liurnia directly, then skip Liurnia, then come back later. So that's what we are going to do. And first things first, we have to get through Margit.
Yes. Also, another nice thing about Stormveil is there's 2 axe checks there, which axes have a pretty high chance to have a really good weapon, which the ideal weapon is honestly a Stormhawk axe. It's Kata's favorite weapon. And also insanely OP at the weapon art. So most weapons in this game have like a weapon art that you can use.
Special kind of ability, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that one is basically a whirlwind of lightning and wind, and most enemies just get staggered, and you just spin to win. Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing particularly impressive here.
Nothing too good, but this is of course also another really nice check because since the shops are randomized to see if there is any good weapons there. But unfortunately nothing, but already 2 good weapons to use.
Yeah.
So it's at least not one of those runs where you're just desperate to find anything. We've had a few of those runs, unfortunately, and that's usually not as fun. It's usually somehow possible to find some worse weapon to somehow manage with, but it's much more fun when you can actually use a weapon, and then it more depends on who makes the better decisions in the game, and not who got the better weapon RNG.
So this is Margit. He has 2 phases. It's the first like big boss encounter that most of you will have seen casually. Here comes the phase transition. You can actually jump over this, which is kind of cool. But my attack missed, but it's fine.
Yeah, you can jump over a lot more things in Elden Ring than you would expect. I feel like in the beginning a lot of people kind of ignored the jump button, but now more and more people are finding out that a lot of the attacks are jumpable, like that one again. It doesn't look like you should be able to jump over it, but you can and get another extra punish off. Yeah, this was another boss fight that was very important to learn since it gatekeeps Stormveil Castle with a lot of item checks, a lot of objectives and things like that. And it's a quite the challenging fight. I mean, when Elden Ring first came out, a lot of people were struggling quite a lot with this boss. So it's pretty fun to watch someone fight Margit who knows what they're doing.
That jump came out a little bit too late there, unfortunately. Knows what they're doing, huh?
Yeah, I say that and you get hit. I mean, that's oh well.
I got the spin combo in a really rough position there. It was really difficult to dodge, but
yeah.
There we go. Jump there.
Very nice.
That
yeah.
is. There's an interesting square sometimes that shows up, which is killing Margit with 4+ parries. So there's like a guaranteed shield that we can go get. The thing is, you never know which shield you're actually going to end up picking up there. So it might be a medium shield, which have less parry frames, and it could be quite difficult to actually end up getting the parries, and that's another reason why it was very important to practice this boss.
Yeah. And there's also a weapon art that you can put onto the shield that gives you the parry frames of a small shield. But of course, that costs extra time. So it's safer, but at what cost?
The biggest cost,
Yes,
which is time.
true.
So now I'm just gonna make my way through Stonewall Castle. I'm gonna try to get the double there. I'm gonna try to kill the Remembrance boss with the Raptor's Talons, so that will be the claw weapon. And I'm gonna try to do it hitless as well. We'll see how that goes. So we could get a 2-in-1 and then make our way to Liurnia. In Liurnia, the goal is gonna be to visit the Blacksmith Ichi, try to get our weapon to +4, and then we'll see what to do from there.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan. Yeah, Godric hitless is it's a fun square. It can be a little bit of a bait, I would say, because there's a meme that can happen in the second phase, and if you can't mostly skip the second phase, it's very likely to happen because there's a fire attack that he does, and that the fire can bounce off of rubble in the arena and can just randomly hit you from the back.
Yeah, because Miyazaki thought it was a great idea to like introduce random fire bouncing and introduce RNG into hitboxes. So, for example, if you put one boss into a different arena, their fire attacks are going to bounce completely differently in very unpredictable ways.
Exactly. And it's very frustrating. If you pretty much have the boss all the way down, you did it hitless, it took you like 10 minutes because you don't have an upgraded weapon yet or anything like that. You know it's a race, and then something like that happens. It's just, yeah, it's very tilting. And yeah, he just took the armor off because then you light roll, which gives you more frames to work with.
And mainly more distance. That's
mainly,
important.
more distance. And since you don't get hit, you don't need armor anyway.
So that extra distance is very good, especially for that AoE attack there.
Exactly. There's a nice bleed proc already.
Yeah, you can see that the damage from the talons themselves.
Yeah, the damage from the talons themselves is not good, but they rely a lot on the bleed, which you can see it does quite a lot of chunk of damage. Yeah, this is pretty nerve-wracking to watch when you know you have to do it hitless.
Yeah, I don't want to fight him on the stairs because sometimes what can happen is that the boss can Goomba stomp you.
Yeah.
So basically his animation midair is going to get interrupted due to the different collision.
Yeah, I was getting a little nervous that you were fighting him up there. Also, of course, if you get close to a wall or something, you might get trapped by some weird stuff. Here's the phase transition. That's always guaranteed to happen at a certain amount of HP. Hitting him there more, even though it doesn't deal a lot of damage to build up the bleed proc again. And then he always starts with that attack in the second phase, so you can get a lot more damage off again. And yeah, this is the phase where the fire memes can happen. As you can see, he gets that dragon head that adds fire. This kind of earthquake thing changes as well. It gets another quake. Oh, there's a rare Talon stagger. Very nice. Yeah, this is the nice fire attack because you can basically just stand under the arm while he does it. Get a lot of hits off. This one is also very nice. Get a lot of damage off. So far, the RNG is very kind, and there's another bleed proc, and
very good.
Hey, GG. That's a very, very clean fight, hitless. So that's 2 squares.
2 squares in 1, yeah. We got the one in the corner. That will be the first one that I mark because it's the more important one, just in case someone was gonna snipe the other one.
Exactly. Like some people might decide to ignore the Remembrance boss hitless and maybe do it later on Radan, for example. And just rush the claw fist only square since it's a corner square. And so yeah, that would definitely mean it's more important.
Yeah, there's a lot of mind games when it comes to bingo, right? Because your decisions and what you do directly influences what your opponent can do, because normally it's done under lockout rules, which means that once you claim a square, your opponent cannot claim a square, right? We didn't really explain that fully.
Yeah.
That is the most important and most interesting format that you can have for bingo, because then what you show on the board also shows your opponent what you've been doing. It shows them information. And if they have good estimation for example, if I mark this now, they probably, you know, my opponent would know, okay, this dude is entering Liurnia right now. How much time do I have to do certain things before, you know, they upgrade their weapon, before they enter the academy, before they get to, for example, Volcano Manor, right, through the academy. So all of these estimations are very, very important.
Yeah, exactly. And there's also strats where, for example, with these squares where it says like kill 3 Crucible Knights, some people would kill 2 Crucible Knights and then hold off on the last one and do some other stuff to omit the information from the opponent. And yeah, then sometimes that's risky though as well, because you don't know if your opponent was also working on the square, and if they decide to just finish it instead of holding off on it, then maybe you wasted your time on 2 Crucible Knights, you know, but your opponent won't know that, so they'll be clueless to what you were up to.
Okay, just checking what the merchant might have. He's got nothing, which is fine, because we're not really looking for anything super important. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 axe checks, actually, just in case I get Stormhawk. Before I commit my runes. As you can see, I have quite a bit of runes by now. Before I commit to leveling some stats for one of the weapons that we have, I want to make sure that I check those things. And that's because they are kind of on the way to where I need to go anyways, right? Pap just mentioned the 3 Crucible Knights. That square is on the board. It's the 5th row and in the middle. And there's an axe check on the way to the Stonewell Crucible Knight, for example. So
Yes.
we're gonna
And
see.
yeah, since Stormhawk Axe is so OP, that's definitely worth checking, because you'll just melt through all the enemies. So the other weapons need a little bit more setup, first off. And they need more, like Stormhawk Axe is another nice thing about it is that you basically need to not level anything to wield it. Whereas Golden Halberd needs some faith, it needs quite a bit of strength, and Meteoric Oreblade we already talked about needing some intelligence. So of course it's nice if you have a weapon where you don't have to really commit any levels into anything other than Vigor, since Vigor is your health bar, and yeah, the bigger your health bar, the more hits you can take, the more you can just run through enemies without having to be scared to die. So it is nice to be able to level quite a bit of that, and keep also some runes for other things later on. I mean, on this board there's not really anything that you have to buy, but there is squares that could have been randomized into the board. That is, for example, there's one square that is Memory of Grace with 50,000 runes, which Memory of Grace is basically return to the last grace you rested at, but you lose all the runes that you hold right now. And
Yeah, it's like the Dark Souls Dark Sign, basically.
exactly. And you have to do it with 50,000 runes in your inventory, so you basically on purpose lose those, which is quite a lot of commitment, and it's usually good to hold on to some runes for objectives like that. But fortunately this time there's not really much worry about that.
Yeah, and Pap is absolutely correct about the Vigor, because even though most players are able to like do the boss fights with very low health, when you have more health, it means that you can go ahead and trade, you can go for riskier plays, you can end up being faster, and that way you can outspeed your opponent who might not have as much Vigor, for example.
Yeah, exactly. And of course in tournament settings and stuff like that, there's also some nerves. And if you don't have any health and you die once, you might tilt out of your mind, and then yeah, so some Vigor is always nice.
So now my plan is to light this Grace here in the Academy. I'm gonna do like cool little tech that I haven't explained yet. I'm gonna light the Grace while facing away, and that's gonna allow me to open the map at the same time and then warp. Normally when you're lighting a Grace, you're not able to actually do that. So that's a cool little strat. And I'm going to go back to Stonewell now, get a Grace closer to the Crucible Knight, see if the axe might be Stormhawk. And if not, then I'm thinking that we will probably commit to the Golden Halberd out of these 2.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan.
So we need 20 strength for that, because when we two-hand it, it's going to give us, like I said earlier, 50% extra. So that's perfectly 30. And then it's 14 faith, I believe. No,
12.
it's 12 faith and 14 dex. So we will need 5 levels of faith, not a big deal.
That's not a big deal. There's also a Faith Talisman, which is in Leonia, which is pretty accessible. But of course, since you have a lot of runes, it would make sense to just level them. But sometimes if you already plan to go for the Golden Halberd, you could just pick it up on the way to one of the teleporters to the academy is around the Faith Talisman. Rostos Axe is a pretty nice weapon as well. It actually grew a lot on me during bingo. It's just a little bit, you have to be a little bit careful when you use it because the weapon art is that you summon 4 skeletons that attack for you. And they do quite a lot of damage, but yeah, they basically, how do you explain it? They face where you cast the weapon art. So if you roll and you face away from the boss, they won't attack the boss. You know, so you have to first position yourself to face the boss, and then use the weapon art. Then the skeletons will do the work for you.
Yeah, the annoying thing also about axes can be that the range is a little bit lower, like the halberd is a lot longer. Ow. Also, there's going to be a cool skip here.
Yeah,
we just got blasted.
But this is really cool. It's just such a long jump, and you would think you die, but no. Fall damage is disabled on this plane because there is usually the normal way that you go down there. There's a platform somewhere where if you fall onto it, it breaks, and you then land onto that plane. But since we skipped that platform, you just land on there, but yeah, they disabled fall damage there to make sure that the player doesn't die from the falling platform. And this is a pretty cool cheese. Basically, send up the elevator, wait for the guy to come at you, and then the idiot will just fall off.
Bye.
Yeah.
So that's it's interesting. He dropped a really good incantation actually for Rando as well. Or for bingo, I should say. Discus of Light is one that is super FP efficient. Sometimes there are squares, like when we had to kill a Remembrance boss using specific weapons, right? This time we used the claws. There are also squares using incants only and squares using sorceries only. And Discus of Light is really good for the incant only one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was quite a lot of testing involved during the league. A lot of us did a lot of a lot of labbing with the different incantations, different sorceries. How much FP do you need? What stuff? I mean, there's usually the meteoric or stuff. Yeah, no, wait. The meteor stuff. Meteoric stuff, yes.
Yeah, meteorite stuff that you find in Kalid, which has really, really high scaling at or really high power at low intelligence levels, right?
Yeah.
And it also boosts gravity sorcery, so sometimes if you end up getting a good gravity sorcery, that can be usable as well.
Yeah, and basically figuring out which incantation and which sorcery needs how many FP flasks as well, since you kind of have to plan how many seeds you want to pick up to have more flasks and things like that. Like, there's a lot that goes into those squares that you don't really see, since those spells are randomized. Alright, well, now I can wield the Golden Halberd and
Gonna upgrade it. So the reason we want to go to Ichi is because this blacksmith sells somber stones from 1 all the way to 4, but we only need a 3 because we picked up 1, 2, and 3 earlier, 1, 2, and 4 earlier. I'm gonna use them on the Golden Halberd, get the +4, and I think what we're gonna do now is go for the Deathbird and Deathrite Bird square.
alright, that's a good plan. Yeah, so, and you already also have the Somber 6, so there's only a Somber 5 missing for a +6 weapon, which +6 out of +10, that's quite a good upgrade level. Which, that's also usually around the highest that you would go in bingo. There is also a square that is get a +9 weapon, but yeah, that is quite a lot of running around as well. And it's not on the board, so it doesn't really make sense to go for it. And often you also only go towards like a +4.
What does make sense, though, is a little bit of synergy play here as well. 2 in 1. So there's another night boss here, which is the Bell-Bearing Hunter, which is also on the board. What I'm first have to do is actually kill this dude, unfortunately. Otherwise, the boss is not going to spawn.
Yeah, you buffed him as well.
Oh yeah,
Funny.
that was funny. Yeah. Also, I'm heavy rolling.
Yeah, because Golden Vow is basically it's an aura or buff or like yeah, you can buff NPCs as well, and if you're planning on killing them, it's a little funny because they get defense. So you give yourself defense strength, but then your opponent gets the same. But yeah, you can see the weapon upgrade. That's a lot of damage. Very nice.
It's gonna be bigger repose damage.
Yeah.
That was more than I expected.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
didn't think you would die from that, but
yeah.
very nice. Yeah.
There's the one bell-billing hunter, and then another night boss is gonna be the deathbird here. There are two types of deathbirds: the deathbird and the deathrite bird. And the good thing about the golden halberd is that it also has holy damage.
Yeah, which is
So,
really good against these birds. And then if you attack the head, you get a big damage boost as well. And yeah, the normal deathbird that you can see here is honestly pretty harmless. They can mess you up, but it's not as scary. But then when you see the deathrite bird, it gets a lot of frost attacks, and it's quite scary. And there's one attack that it has that is a big... Oh!
Getting around!
The whole animal kingdom!
What is happening here? Oh, what a party! Oh no! Where did they all come from?
They just want to remind you that later you have to kill 10 sheep. They're already mad at you.
Oh,
There's a square on the board. Use the Ash of War lightning ram to kill 10 sheep. And you'll see that later. It's a pretty fun square. But the sheep, they already heard the message.
So this is going to be the scarier bird that Pup talked about.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the scariest attacks that it has is a big explosion that then spreads out in a star, and basically you always have to run south or you'll get blasted by so the star is always aligned in the same way with the compass actually, which is pretty interesting. So you can dodge it by just running south.
Which is easier said than done.
Yeah.
A lot of the times.
Of course.
I think to me what's most annoying about this guy is that there are a couple of attacks where basically the AoE spreads on the ground and the spread is actually completely random, so it's another thing that's like just not predictable whatsoever.
Yeah, that is very annoying, for sure. And it gives you frost buildup as well, which will then deal big damage to you.
That's the explosion.
That's the explosion, so now running south, and you'll see that, yeah, exactly, the lines completely avoid you.
And that's the random AoE.
That's the random AoE, and
spreading perfectly at me, not the frost proc. Okay, we're good.
Okay.
Oh, this is another annoying attack. Very difficult to dodge. I think I'm just gonna try to use some environment actually.
Yeah.
Are we good? Okay.
I kind of hope he's gonna do the spear attack, because there's a really, really fun dodge with Torrent actually. But we'll see. I think he'll be dead before he can do it. Yeah, that's it.
Second deathbird.
GG. Very nice.
Mark the square. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to Fort Faroth and run over to another bell-bearing hunter, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one I'm very excited to see, because there's another really fun strat. I mean, you can already tell, I think, during bingo there was so many strats found or utilized from different places. There was a lot of people involved in finding these strats,
yeah, the coolest thing about this is that basically you get to do a lot of awesome stuff that you never get to see in like regular speedruns, right? And you get to do it in a competitive setting. And what I really enjoyed about bingo is that it didn't just like combine the need to be really good at the boss fights, but it also forced you to be very, very speedy, right? Like there's a certain level that you can get to by being consistent, but in the end, speed is what really, really mattered. So that's what I really, really liked, because you got to do just all kinds of different cool things. And some of the speed strats from speedruns got to carry over, some of the no-hit strats got to carry over with certain cheeses. And yeah, it was just a very unique setting that you basically never get to see anywhere else.
Yeah, it kind of like combined a lot of the communities. Like I was not really in the whole speedrun community at all and was introduced through Bingo to a lot of really cool people. So very nice. And yeah, so here basically we're going to the merchant, and down the hill and on that merchant there is this big golem that shoots arrows at you. And usually you use that path to go to this, I don't know, it's like for Alexander, I think, the quest line.
Yep.
So you basically never go there, pretty much, unless on the first playthrough, I'd say. Or if you're into PvP, maybe. I don't know. And yeah, so you try to set it up. You go as close as you can to the ledge here. Don't fall off, though. Hasn't ever happened to me. Yeah, so you go there very, very close to in that spot to the ledge. Then you wait for the bell-bearing hunter to come up. He like checks to see what happened over there.
Yeah.
Then as soon as you see him, you jump up to aggro him again, so that he goes around the corner. Then and also to aggro the golem. Yeah, and then the golem staggers the bell-bearing hunter for you. You repulse him into the back, and then oh, it failed.
It just barely failed.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate, but almost. Okay, just do it again though.
Yeah, it's no problem. Because we got the Grace right over here.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to make it nighttime again because it's another nighttime boss.
Yes. It's a really cool strat though, utilizing that enemy down the hill.
Yeah, it's like not every enemy is on the same item, enemy type basically, or I should say team. So they can deal basically friendly fire to each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this just so works out that it is possible to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. That looks so close to falling off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so pay close attention to the left screen, side of the screen. You'll see the bell-bearing hunter pop up right there. Jump to aggro the golem. Bell-bearing hunter will go around, follow him, stand in those branches.
Yeah, this is looking better.
It looks a lot better, yeah. Then you want to repost or like backstab him as close to the left as well to aim him, and there you go, falling off. Very nice, yeah. I think that's one of the coolest cheeses, honestly, that was found during this this whole big league.
Okay, so now that we are up to 2 bell-bearing hunters, we're gonna head over to the academy because we have some business there as well. We have Renala to kill, and there's Godskin Noble in Volcano Manor. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get abducted by the Virgin Abductors and go to Volcano Manor that way. What's always important about, or in pretty much almost any, in like 95% of bingo matches, is Altus access, right? There are several ways of getting into Altus Plateau. One of them is the Dectus Medallion that allows you to use the Dectus Elevator. A second one is going through the Precipice, the Runestream Precipice, and killing Makar, which can be a viable strategy if there's, for example, tunnels and Precipice Square, or if you have to kill Magma Worms. Also, a cool little skip here around the academy. Like that.
Very clean, very
And
nice.
The third way is the one that we're going to do, which is basically going into Volcano Manor, getting abducted, and then killing the Virgin Abductors at the bottom. I know, thanks. And we're going to enter Altus that way.
Yeah, exactly. So that's actually one of the things that pretty early on, when you look at the board, you want to sort of decide so that you can work towards how you want to get to Altus. And on this board, actually, getting Dectus Medallion could have made a lot of sense as well, since the painting rewards...
I was too slow for that cycle.
Yeah. Yeah, before you want to get abducted, you usually want to use all your runes. I don't know if you're planning to do the wolf first or something.
Yeah, I'll do the wolf.
Yeah. So since there's also Renala Square on the board, and also the other bell-bearing hunter, you can access it through a teleporter after the Red Wolf, so that makes a lot of sense to kill the Red Wolf and then either finish off Bell-Bearing Hunter, go do Renala, or go to Volcano Mana, depending on what your next plan is, pretty much. And Red Wolf is also one of the bosses that often gets done pretty early on, and can really mess you up since he has a few little glint blades, as what it's called, some magic that he summons, and they can be pretty hard to dodge. Yeah, those are those little magic blades.
Glint blades, yeah.
Glint blades, yeah.
Yeah, that particularly there is a very lethal combo where the Glint Blade can clip you. The Glint Blade itself isn't going to deal a lot of damage, but then he hits you with the jump attack and just get wrecked, which is great.
Exactly. And if you have even less health than right now, which can sometimes happen, like it could be a square that is rushed right away, then a lot of people got messed up by that boss.
Yeah, because like Academy is another place that can have a lot of synergy early on. Because there can be a square that has wet blades, for example, to obtain, and that is a play where you're going to get Academy. There are imbued keys. One of them is in the Academy. Red Wolf himself can be a square. Renala is a square. So there's quite a lot of things that you can do around the Academy.
Yeah, and here's the teleporter that I just talked about that brings you to the last Bell-Bearing Hunter. So it brings you to a church with the Turtle Pope, and it's another night boss there. And it does make sense here. You can decide if you want to hold off on that Bell-Bearing Hunter for a while, or if you just want to finish it off.
So there's a particular way of getting this guy to spawn. We actually have to talk to Miriel a couple of times. First we have to ask him about Radagon, then we're going to have to ask him about Renala, then we have to reload the area. And then we have to talk to him again and reload the area one more time, and only then the Bell-Bearing Hunter is going to spawn. So it's actually quite complicated.
Yes. In the first season of Bingo, I remember there was quite a lot of confusion about how to get the Bell-Bearing Hunter to spawn. And some people got messed up by it.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up his menu again, close it, and then I'm going to quit out right here, and the Bell-Bearing Hunter is going to spawn.
Exactly.
Apply Golden Vow before again. Here he is.
Yeah, they have a little bit of a spawn-in animation, as you can see, before they actually do something. So you have time to buff and even do an attack. Yeah, for this guy, there's no cheese. No falling off a cliff, so I actually have to fight him. But it's actually a pretty fun moveset if you learn it. And there's also some manipulation you can do if you stay at a certain point behind him. You can pretty much always bait that shield bash. Yeah, see, he's doing it again, and then if you go, he would have probably done it again and over. That's another square down.
So from here, I'm going to go back to the start of the Academy. That's because there's a small shield over here. I want to try to see if we can get a shield with a parry or something.
Yeah, for Godska Noble, parries are very, very nice. It makes it quite a lot easier. Well, depends on how comfortable you are with parries, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good shield. Now I have to go back to Bernal. I should have bought the parry in the first place, but now I'm going to have to pick up his bell bearing on the ground because we actually killed him.
Yeah. Yeah, because usually how a lot of people will fight the Godskin, Noble, and Apostle is with sleep pots, right? But that would take a lot of time to get the sleep pot recipe and get some pots and the ingredients and things like that with the pathing that has been done during this run. There's different boards where it would make a lot more sense because there's also a square that is like at 10 of the cracked pots.
Yeah, but the most important thing is that this Godskin Noble square is actually without any status effect, and sleep is one of them, right? So you're not supposed to use sleep for that.
Yeah, exactly. That as well.
So let's put this parry, Asher War on the small shield. And I'm gonna go back to the schoolhouse classroom.
Yeah, so also can't use bleed, for example, in the talons, which that is a golden halberd is a really nice weapon for because it doesn't have any status effect. I think meteoric ore blade would have had bleed as well, so you would have to be careful with that.
So what I did there, instead of leveling vigor to make it a little bit more interesting for the for the showcase, what I did is well, I could have made that. Hit me, dude. Thanks. I leveled up 30 strength so that I can actually one-hand the golden halberd, and that way I can just hold the shield, parry, and then riposte immediately on Godskin Noble.
Well, let's hope it doesn't bite you in the butt, but
Yeah, thanks.
should be fine though. Yeah, and here basically you want to lose some health beforehand because you want to you need to die to the abductor virgin to be transported into the volcano manor. And if you have too much HP, then you have to be grabbed twice, and that can be kind of messy.
As the grab.
Yeah.
So you can actually mash out of grabs in a lot of the FromSoft games, including Elden Ring, and then as you mash the buttons, basically the damage that you're taking is going to stop a little bit earlier. Yeah, we obviously don't want to do that because we want to die here, but it's something to do in the boss fight maybe later on if I get grabbed. Right here, I'm going to do a pretty damn cool skip, actually. It's going to allow me to hopefully get over the lava that's underneath by jumping on this cage right here. What I do is I abuse some collision that is there and allows me to jump a little bit later than the developers would have expected. And that way I can get all the way to this part of Volcano Manor without having to go to the lava part there.
Yeah, that was very clean as well. It's harder than it looks. You made it look very easy.
Oh, that's a 6. For some reason I thought that was a Somber 5. That's fine.
No, the 5 was up there.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because we have the 6 already from the Falling Star Beast earlier. So all we're missing is the Somber 5, which we will get when we go to the Abductor Duel. But first, Godskin Noble coming up. I like this fight quite a bit. I used to, when I started practicing for Bingo, I hated the Godskins. In the end, I ended up liking both of them. There's a lot of creativity that you can have, actually, as a player. Interestingly enough, there's quite a bit of expression that you can have, and sometimes you can tell who's if you were blindly watching someone, you can tell who they are based on how they fight certain bosses.
Yeah, that is very true, actually. Yeah, but this is a very difficult fight, honestly, because he does a lot of different things with also the flame and things like that. But parrying here really trivializes it a little bit. But then in phase 2, he has a really, really mean move, which is insanely fast, that you can't parry. That can surprise quite a bit. And of course, there's the roll. The famous nobling. And you can either use the pillars in this room to have him roll against and just hide behind, or you can circle around him like that or dodge through. Yeah, that's the move that I was just talking about. No move presence. It comes out insanely fast. There's a little tell, he clenches up his fist. And that's basically how you can tell that he's gonna do it. But it barely has any cooldown, so he can do it at any point, almost any point. If you're very close to him, which of course when you parry him, you are very close to him at pretty much all time. But yeah, if you know that if you just always expect it, you can look for the tell and you'll be able to dodge it. And that should be it. Very nice, very clean fight. Alright, next to the Abductor Virgins. I'm guessing.
Yeah, correct.
Which is also a very scary fight. It's a duo fight. They deal a lot of damage, especially if they both come at you at the same time. They also deal bleed as well, so you can kind of just get blended to death. And yeah, there's one pretty nice strat with lightning. If you hit them 5 times with lightning, they stagger. Otherwise, they don't really stagger at all. And as we've talked about, staggers are very important in the game. And for these guys, they basically open up and show their insides, which then you deal an insane amount of damage to them.
So one thing that's also interesting is when I'm falling down like this while in combat, if I hit the ground normally, I would lose a lot of stamina on that landing animation. But what I can do is I can do a jump attack, and instead what happens is the game only uses the stamina for the jump attack, and when I land, you can see that no stamina is actually used anymore. So that's like the best way to basically traverse when you're in combat.
Oh.
Let me rest. No, okay.
Yeah, these enemies are pretty annoying.
So I'm gonna first go to Ichi. The reason for that is he's gonna upgrade my weapon to +6 because we got the Somber 5 on the way here. So that'll be very strong. We'll have a very strong weapon now.
Yeah, exactly.
Then I'm gonna spend the rest of the runes on the... Oops. Then I'm gonna spend the rest of the runes on Bigger. Let's see how much I can get. And then we're gonna go ahead and enter Altus. So for this boss fight, there's like a strategy that I'm gonna try to utilize at the very beginning of it. And that is I'm gonna bait an attack from the abductor on the right side. And as it's busy, I'm gonna hope that the abductor on the left side charges at me. And then I should be able to bait a grab and hopefully attack the insides that Pop talked about, which should deal like a decent amount of extra damage. So we'll see. It's kind of random. It depends on timing and positioning always, but
Yeah.
there's definitely luck involved. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, running at that cage and then turning around, and then hopefully exactly that attack misses, and that is very nice. And the first one is almost dead. Very nice.
Yeah, once the first one is dead, usually it should be a lot better. Well, he's gonna spin now, but this is the annoying part, right? If there's 2 of them and one of them is spinning like that, and then the other one tries to get you, and it can be a total mess. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and this is always nice if you can attack the insides at all. Yeah, these guys are a little confusing to fight, I think, but once they're on their own, it's possible. Nice. GG.
it's really interesting to me how sometimes certain enemies take like so long to die, and the victory achieved screen appears like super late, and some of them, like this one, for example, dies in like a millisecond as soon as you deal the last final blow.
Yeah, and now we're in Altus. Very
Yay,
nice.
very
Yeah.
good.
Made it. Yeah, Altus is very nice. Another reason for it is to activate the Radan Festival. Since there's quite a few underground squares, and the way you want to go to the underground is through like beating Radan usually. Because the other way would be, for example, could go to the Dragonkin Soldier through this super long elevator ride in Limgrave, but I mean, who wants to do that, right? So there's a different way to go down there. But you, for that, need to kill Radan, and to get to kill Radan, you have to activate the festival to access him. Otherwise, you'll be greeted with the Crucible Knight Misbegotten Warrior duel, which is also a square on this board. So you could also choose to do that first. But since it's quite the mean fight, it does make sense often to kill Radan first, since he gives also a lot of runes. And it's actually kind of easier than that duel.
Yeah, so now that I'm in Altus, the goal is to basically... First, I'm going to run towards the Lightning Ram Ash of War, and also because there's Morgoth's Great Rune, it means we're going to have to get to Lane Dell. So I'm going to get a little bit of extra map presence. This is another play that is usually pretty important to think about during Bingo, and that's like, what can you do that, you know, gives you time and also builds map presence, right? Like, if you know that you're going to have to go to certain areas, does it make sense to go there now to let your opponent maybe show you some information on the board that then you can use to make better decisions, for example, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to run around here to the merchant. I'm going to take the teleporter, which is the fastest way to get to the Lightning Ram Ash of War. And as I'm doing that, Argy, take it away.
Ta very much. Well, we got the "You're Too Slow" there was from $100 from username Niels that asks a very, very important question here. It says, press Y to acquire materials. How do you train to resist the urge to press that every time?
It's, I don't know. It's still very hard, especially so we're both doing more randomizer stuff at the moment, where all items are randomized, and so any item can be an insanely good item, right? So every time you skip an item right now, my brain is also telling me, oh no, what could it be?
Yeah,
It's hard.
Absolutely. We also got a $50 donation here from Tuxedo Mike that says, this is for Kara, the god of randomizer, the goat of commentary. You are the man. Soulsborne Ekring hype.
Damn, that's like, wow, that's like the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
Damn, quite the praise.
Yeah, thank you so much for the
Deserved.
generosity. Wow, okay, that's the second nicest thing ever.
Then finally, one more question for you. $10 donation here from Sino that says, will we ever see a bingo cube run at ESA?
Oh man, that is something really interesting that is kind of being worked on, but not really, which is a 3D cube for bingo, right? So you basically end up, instead of having a 5x5 grid, you had a cube to kind of deal with. This is already too much of a mess, man. I don't know if cube is something we want to do, but something to consider, I suppose.
Absolutely. Just one quick update as well on our incentive here. Thank you for all those donations coming in. Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow upgrade to Julius mode is at $364.33 out of the $500 needed. We're less than $150 away. We can absolutely hit that by the time the run comes up here. Again, please do keep these donations coming in as we are running through the lands between here.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm gonna go ahead and I don't need this grace for anything. Actually, I do. Never mind. I need to come back. So I'm gonna take this grace over here. I'm gonna go straight to the Lightning Ram Ash of War, which is near here. And we're gonna go ahead and put it onto one of our trusty weapons. So that's another thing, like that the regular weapons have that the somber weapons don't, is that you can swap out the Ash of War on them, right? So what I can do is I can take, for example, the Bastard Sword that we have from the start of the game and put the Lightning Ram on it. I won't be able to do that with the Meteoric Oreblade or the Golden Halberd. Also, what's important is that on the way here, I picked up the Fulgrim Bloom. That's a crafting material that we can use, or rather that we will use for the Mimic tier consumables only.
Yes.
So we go to Hugh. Let's say I put it on the Battle Axe.
And then we can get revenge on those
on
sheep.
the sheep, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so there's a big patch of a bunch of sheep that are just minding their own business over there around the Everjail, which is the perfect spot for the square.
Yeah, so I'm gonna need the what I liked Eris earlier in the day call the audience, the RL chat. I'm gonna need you guys to count with me, okay? We need 10 of these, so let's do it, okay? 1.
2.
You want some, mate?
3.
Eh!
Oh!
It's running away! Yeah. Actual Sonic gameplay.
I mean, I can't tell the difference.
So the strat for this, for them to not run away, is to crouch, then you don't make noise and hopefully don't scare them. Okay, the double.
Oh! Oh!
Did you bait it?
9.
9 and oh. Okay, I'll catch up. Okay, never mind.
Let's go. Yeah, that's probably one of the most fun squares that you can do in the whole on the whole board.
And there's another synergy here. Right next to these sheep, there's actually a Crucible Knight Everjail, so...
Wow, perfect.
Perfect. Who would have thought? Wow. So for this Crucible Knight, I'm going to show you how you can abuse the parry against them as well. It's a lot of fun. And as you can see, +6 is kind of putting in work as well. Phase transition, yeah. You can jump over that, hit him again. Maybe tail, okay. You can jump over the second part, get another R1 in, and finish him up right there.
Very
Second
nice.
Crucible.
Very clean. And again, you can jump over so many more attacks than you would ever think. That's very, very fun to fight that way.
Okay, let's do a little bit more running, because we are going to have to go underground eventually. That means we should get the map presence to go there. So we're gonna go to Fort Heights. We're gonna get the Grace there, which is exactly the place where the meteor hits once you kill Radan. And then from there, I'm gonna also head over to Weeping Peninsula.
Yeah.
Because we have the Leonine Misbegotten Square, which sounds like, you know, it's not a huge deal, but it takes about 5 minutes to actually get all the way over there. So it's another one of those kind of bait squares that you want to try to get, you know, your opponents to do. You want to try to build up a line that, you know, for example, would be that that row 3 where the Watchdogs are. You would want to try to get the Watchdogs and maybe force your opponent to go block with Leonine, because Leonine himself doesn't have any synergy actually on this board with anything, right? Like Weeping is quite a bit of waste of time. There are certain squares like duping in a Mausoleum, or for example getting the Scar Seal talismans. That would have good synergy with Weeping Peninsula, but right now it's basically just Leonine. So forcing your opponent to do it would be huge.
Yeah, exactly. And in that time, you know, you have 5 minutes to do just whatever you want while your opponent is like scrambling to get there. And if they don't choose to get there, then you just keep having that threat hovering over their head that at any point you can just finish the run. And if you realize that 5 minutes passed, they haven't done Leonine, then maybe you just want to go for it yourself, or just do, I don't know, other squares and pressure your opponent more and more. Maybe build another line so that they have to worry about 2 things. So yeah, there's a lot of mind games you can use.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, that's the like most interesting thing about dealing with the information that you have, right? Because if you know that your opponent was just working on something else, obviously you're not guaranteed that they do not have like a Leonine Misbegotten Grace ready or something just to block. But if you can tell that you can go for the bingo, then you go for the bingo. If you have enough information to know that, okay, I probably cannot get this bingo on time, it's better to bait them into blocking and then in the meantime go work something on something else.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, this would be a really good play, because if you get to a situation where neither player, because like I mentioned earlier, it's lockout, meaning that once you claim a square, your opponent cannot claim it, and vice versa. It comes down to majority, right? Who has the most squares at the end of the match? So 13 squares, that is. And because Leonine has no other synergy with anything, that's a really good play to force your opponent into, because you're wasting a lot of their time for just 1 square. While in the meantime, you could be doing these synergistic squares of like the Lightning Ram while going to the Crucible Knight and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of matches actually go down to majority.
Not when I play.
Not
It's true, though.
It's true, it's true.
It's true.
Yeah, it is very true. Yeah, Kata was definitely very known actually to just like pressure one line and then just like finish it before anyone can even catch up to it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, basically, if you have a good evaluation of where your opponent is and what they're up to, you can kind of guess what is the optimal play.
Yeah, which I think speedruns will actually help you a lot, being good at time estimate, since you always have the splits up, right? So you know exactly how long would it take you to get Dectus Medallion and things like that. So coming from a speedrun background, I would imagine it helps a lot.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think the most important aspect of speedrunning, which oftentimes is like not talked about at marathons, is just kind of the practice routine, right? The regimen, the fact that you are willing to sit there and do one boss fight again and again and again with different weapons. That's the thing, because the weapons are randomized in this format. It means that you are not just able to beat a boss. You can't just be able to beat a boss with a specific weapon. Like in a speedrun, you're always going to use the same build, right? The one that's most optimal. In this particular format, you need to be able to use different weapon types. You need to be able to kill Margit with axes. You need to be able to kill Margit with halberds or great swords, whatever have you. So that's always really, really important.
Yeah, exactly.
So now we're finally getting to like an interesting part of Castle Morn here. We are close to low 9. There's some really cool parkour that you can actually do that I'm going to try to show off. As this guy's trying to follow me. But he's too slow.
Yeah, you basically jump on the ledge here and then all the way over there. Then there's another ledge down there to the left, exactly. Land there. That skips a lot of things.
Okay, I'm going to try to do a cool skip here as well, if I remember where it is.
The tree skip.
Did I hit it? I did.
Let's go. That was very nice. And this is also very fun. Just walk off, land on that. Look, it's very clean, very fun to watch, I think.
Yes, I'm gonna rest here just to heal up and make sure that if I somehow die to low 9 now, that I don't have to do all of this again.
Yeah, after all those skips, so I feel like Leo 9 will be no problem at all. Although he has a few attacks that can really mess you up. So he has this like claw, this double claw that is very, like, you can't really, I think you can't really dodge it unless, like, if you're too close, right?
Yeah, you are correct. It is like in Elden Ring, they definitely try to up the ante when it comes to the complexity of patterns and attacks. And one part of it is the fact that more than ever before, it is also important to pay attention to like your position relative to the enemy.
Yeah, exactly. So for the one attack, if you're too close, it will always catch you. But with this guy, I mean, yeah, the weapon the weapon level is just so high. It's no problem at all. And with Leo 9, it's also interesting. He has a greatsword or colossal sword check, which can be nice.
Yeah, we got the Godslayer's Greatsword, which is not a bad weapon. It has Black Flame on it, so that's extra percentage damage to enemies. But the issue is it needs quite a bit of stats. So in like a bingo format where you are trying to get your weapon, you know, as ready as fast as possible, it's a little bit too much of an investment.
Yeah, you would mostly just check it for if there's a square where you need to kill a boss with colossal armaments. So a colossal sword would be a pretty good bet. But yeah, usually, unfortunately, those swords are not very useful in bingo.
So what I want to do now is probably go for the Watchdogs, which will be our first finished line. But for that, there's an interesting thing about this square, right? The Watchdog square. It doesn't say kill 3 Watchdog bosses. So that means I actually need to kill 3 individual unique Watchdogs rather than 3 individual unique boss encounters. So what that means is because there's a Watchdog duo here and also a bird on my ass, I can kill that fight, I can beat them, and it's going to count as 2 Watchdogs, right? So this is like the most efficient way of doing it, essentially.
Yeah, and with the Watchdog duo, of course, duo fights, I mean, as we've already talked about, are pretty annoying to play against. But there's a pretty fun strat with these guys, which is if you have some crystal darts. I don't know if you have any. Did you?
I'll get them in the academy.
All right. Because it is very fun against stone enemies. If you throw 4 crystal darts at them, they get confused and they attack each other. So instead of having to fight the Watchdog duo, they'll fight each other, and you can from the back lines basically help out one of the Watchdogs.
Yeah, so we'll go back to the schoolhouse classroom where we got abducted from, and there are some crystal dots like right around the corner that I can pick up.
Yeah.
Don't mind me, gentlemen. that's the one. So for this catacomb, what I'm going to do is I have to run all the way around these imps that can be kind of annoying to deal with sometimes, simply because they have a bleed proc, so they can deal quite a bit of damage at once. But hopefully I can go and get that lever. The most, like, the scariest part about this, stay there, sir, is the fact that you have to backtrack, right? So you aggro a bunch of enemies as you go for the first lever, and then you have to backtrack to this elevator, which I'm going to send up now, and I have to drop down to the ground.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of times you can either just die or Memory of Grace back and then access the boss that way. There's other catacombs where that works, but yeah, for this particular one, unfortunately not. And a lot of people have died here and lost the square because of that.
So another small annoying thing is that when you pull the lever, the game gives you like a pop-up text that a door has opened somewhere. But while that pop-up is on the screen, you cannot do anything else besides just like dismiss it, right? So in that brief moment of like a second, you basically cannot roll, you cannot jump, you cannot do anything. Dude just dropped on my head and dealt some damage.
Yeah, and you can't even dismiss it with the jump button. Well,
yep.
So you have to like just spam Y.
You're too slow!
Alright, let's see if we can hit the 4 darts on one of them. There you go, you can see the bubbles on its head and the confusion, and they attack each other. Which, that is actually really bad RNG. Sometimes you can be lucky and you don't have to fight them at all, pretty much. Like one of them dies and the other one only has like 1 hit point left.
Yep.
But
this guy just decided to do all the jump attacks and to destroy him.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and that's 2 watchdogs already. Very nice. And then the last watchdog, usually the fastest one, is here, the one in Limgrave. So back to our boy Kale.
Well, I have to talk to him anyway, so
Yeah.
let's do that. We have to buy the crafting kit for the bottom right square with the mimic. So I'll buy the pots, I'll buy the crafting kits. And then we're gonna run to the cliff bottom catacombs. And there's going to be like a pretty neat tech there that I can showcase as well, where some of these catacombs, quite a few of them actually, have these fire pillars. Sometimes they're ice pillars, with those I wouldn't recommend it, but because they're like quite a bit higher scale later in the game. But basically, you're supposed to wait for them, right? You're supposed to wait for the turn there, wait for the cycle, so when the fire is off, you just run through. Well, there's a way to actually avoid that. And I'll show you how in a second. Before I do that, Argik, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we just had a massive $222 donation. That is coming in from Wowie. And they're saying, thanks, Kara, for everything you contribute to the Souls community. You've grown a lot over the years, and it's been a treat to watch. Keep on, keeping on. Franker Z.
Franker Z. Guys, thank you so much. That is a very generous donation. As you can see, me getting blasted by fire right there. So I can basically just block the fire, and then as long as you get hit by it once like this, the fire is not going to deal another tick of damage to you, and you can just kind of run through it, skipping the cycles. But yeah, thank you so much for the kind, generous donations, and for the kind words. It really means a lot. Cool little tech I did there as well is I cancelled the Estus, right? So I took damage from the fires, and I cancelled the healing animation by dropping right next to the lever there. It's just like a small piece of tech, but it's kind of cool. So this watchdog is going to be a little bit easier because he's, you know, much more downscaled.
Yeah, you can see the damage. I mean, kind of insane at this point. Very nice, and that's a bingo.
Woohoo! That's our first line.
GG. And in a real match, this would be the win, pretty much. The match would end here, but we shall keep going.
So what we also have here is invading Magnus, which is a really interesting square because it actually gives a Somber 6 as well. So it's one of those where like the players can decide to do it somewhat early to get themselves weapon upgrades if they get to Altus. It's also part of a quest line to get to Moog, real Moog, but that didn't end up being on this board. And so what I had to do there is I had to go to that merchant and buy the fingers, which you can use to invade. Normally it's like for PvP purposes basically. Where are the freaking tombstones? There they are. There's like a rock that you can jump onto, but I kind of forgot exactly where it is, so just taking the safer path. And this is like one of those things, something just died. This is one of those things where the developers are like, you know, even if you're doing only PvE and you're playing offline, we want to give you a little bit of that PvP experience. So they're giving you like a way to invade and a way to fight an enemy that keeps on rolling all of your stuff to give you a little bit of a taste of your own medicine.
Yeah, it's a very fun experience and definitely makes people want to try out more PvP. Not. No, Magnus was actually kind of fun to fight though, once you learn it, I would say. But he has some really annoying things that he just throws at you already. Like, but yeah, those things you can jump, for example, but you can see he just rolls. Your attacks as well. And he hits really hard. Like, he can be quite the roadblock for a lot of people. GG though, very clean.
Yeah, so we actually, like, luckily for us, we had the halberd, which is one of the better weapons for these NPC fights because it has quite a bit of range. So you could see I was able to roll catch him a couple of times when he rolled away, and I still got the hit in. So that was really, really nice. Okay, from here, after getting Magnus, I am gonna go back to debate parlor. We're gonna finish the Renala square in the first row.
Mm-hmm. That's another one where everyone can help keep track, since we have to wait for all 4 different spirits. So she can summon wolves. She can summon this Bloodhound Fang guy. What's his name? Darrowell.
Yeah, just Bloodhound Knight.
Bloodhound Knight. Yeah. She can summon a troll. And she can summon a dragon. So those are the 4 options, and for the square you basically have to wait out, and it's one of the, I mean, pretty much the most RNG heavy square probably in the whole bingo realm, and it can be quite frustrating when she summoned 3 of the things and then you just have to wait there.
So this is Moongrum. Speaking of PvP, he's a PvP god, and you could see me using the kukri to throw it at the wall, and he like goes to investigate it, and I was just able to run behind him without aggroing him. So it's really, really good. But he is a menace.
Yeah, he can parry you. He can throw spells. He does it all, honestly.
Alright, so this fight has a first phase as well. We'll see how much damage we deal. I don't have like any buffs for my charge attacks, but it should be okay, hopefully. Basically, the gimmick of this first phase is that you need to hit 3 of these students first to break Renala's shell, basically, and then when she goes to the ground is when you can hit her. I want to use the fists. I don't want to kill the students, because then there will be bunch of targets, or less targets to basically spawn on. Like the seal is going to spawn on ones that are not as favorable, essentially. Thanks to this damage, I should be able to get the 1 cycle here. There we go.
Very nice.
And now second phase is going to start. I'm going to open up by jump attacking her right underneath her meteor, or Kamehameha, whatever.
Yeah.
She did the moon, which is an annoying attack because she has full iframes during it. But the good thing is I got her past 50%, so she's going to start summoning now. Is the first summon.
Yeah, those are the wolves. So 1 out of 4.
And what's interesting is that these guys, they actually are not on a timer. They despawn after a certain attack. Like each of the summons has specific attacks that makes them despawn after that.
Yeah. There's the dragon.
So he has to do like a flying slam. Yeah, that's the one.
Exactly.
But this is going to be a little bit scary.
Yeah. Yeah, she deals a lot of damage, but usually she doesn't really attack during the summons unless you attack her. Except for the giant, she always attacks you during that summon. but of course you still want to get her HP down so that as soon as you have all 4 summons, you can just kill her with one more attack, ideally. And now we're just waiting for the Bloodhound Knight. Yeah. At least the HP is looking good already as well. Now it's just RNG waiting. And wolves still! Yeah, there you can see what the annoying part of this is, like, I don't know, your opponent might just be lucky and get the 4th summon here, and that's a little frustrating if you lose the square just because of that. But that's how it is. Another moon. It's also annoying.
There's the Blood Knight.
There we go, and now can just kill her, don't have to care about the Bloodhound Knight, but of course he can just blast you, so...
Yeah, what's scary about this is that Renala, like, her individual attacks, they don't deal as much damage, but she can combo you with the AoE and with, like, the Comet and the Kamehameha, and when you get hit by multiple of them, even with this health bar, which isn't the most impressive, but I would just get one shot, so there's Renala, very nice. All right, so I'm thinking that we're gonna do what are my stats? Stats are looking very good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go all the way to the start of the game, and we're gonna do the square that's in the 5th row, column 4, Soldier of Godric, the legend himself, a fist only.
Yeah, and what is very important for this square is that you need a spread of overall 30. In dex and strength together, right? So either 30 strength or 30 dex or 15 strength and 15 dex, because that will make you deal more damage.
Yeah, so the fastest way to kill him is going to be 2-handed top R2s, and they're going to deal 6 damage each, which is not a lot, but boss also doesn't have a lot of HP. This is actually, you know, for those that are not familiar, this is the tutorial boss, basically. This area that I'm running through is the tutorial area of the game, where they teach you some of the basic movement and controls and stuff. And yeah, Soldier of God you normally kill in like 3 hits, 4 hits with a starting weapon, but this is going to take a little bit longer.
Yeah, exactly.
And thanks to the stat spread that Pup talked about, I will be dealing 6 damage, as I said, instead of 4, so it speeds it up quite a bit.
Yeah. And unfortunately, otherwise you can't really do much about fists. They just kind of suck. They don't really scale with leveling that much. Like, that's pretty much all you can get out of them. 2 more damage.
So what's important about this is I'm going to be trying to circle around him and hit him on the side. So basically I can strafe as many attacks as possible without having to like roll or anything like that. So here he is, the menace.
Now you can see the damage. It's not amazing, but with how fast the attacks are, it's and with strafing all of his attacks, just have to be a little bit careful with the stamina management, of course. And there's one heavy attack that he does that you do have to dodge instead of strafe. But other than that, can pretty much strafe almost all his attacks. And that way, get a lot of DPS off.
And we can also get some donations off.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you very much. Yes, we do have a $10 donation here from Mudkit that says, "Hello, Cattery. Elated to see my 2 favorite Elden Ring runners in this event. Also, use the lantern."
Thank you. Honestly, the lantern, so that's like a running gag in my channel because my monitor is quite bright. So I don't need to use a lantern to see the dark areas around the caves.
You're too slow.
But on my stream, it's a little bit darker, right? So the chat sometimes cannot see where I'm going. And there's a running gag that I should be using the lantern. Which, the thing is, this monitor is quite a bit darker. And when I was running to Beastman of Far Missoula, I did not see a lot. So maybe I should have used the lantern.
Can I continue?
Yeah, let's go.
Well, we just had one coming in there that has a $100 donation here that says, "Morgoth did nothing wrong," from the username. That is the username, and then says, "Coming to lands between near you. Have you been vigor checked recently?"
Might still happen.
That can happen at any moment.
And that donation was going towards the Goosebird t-shirt there, as well as our Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. Just a quick update on that. That has been met.
Woo!
Thank you very, very much for upgrading us to Julius mode in that run. Our next incentive we have is for, of course, in the morning when we come back. It is the We Party You upgrade CPU difficulty from beginner to advanced. But please do keep your donations coming in as well.
Okay, so what I want to do now is probably start cleaning up the Altus squares here, and I kind of made a small mistake there in terms of pathing. Well, not really, because we needed to go to the teleport anyways, but what I need to do now is run through this part of Altus, because there's two things. First, the tree spirits. The second good thing is there's going to be some golden seeds on the way that are going to get me extra flask charges, which is going to be really nice. And yeah, the tree spirit square is going to take a little bit of time because it's 3 enemies in 3 different distinct locations. There isn't really much synergy that you can do with anything else. But the good thing is we do have access to Stoneville, where one of them is. The second one is in Stranded Graveyard, where we just killed Soldier of Godric. And one of them I'm going to kill here just outside of Altus. Or I should say Lanedale, the capital. Then we're going to make our way to the capital. We're going to work on the Morgoth Great Rune. And then we're going to do probably BBK, which is Blackblade Kindred in Caelid. And then it's basically everything that's left is connected to Radahn in some way, so it will finally be time to do that incentive that you guys very generously donated towards and met the target there. We're going to try to do some 2-player, 1-controller gaming at Radahn.
Yeah, exciting. Nerve-wracking. Yeah, one nice thing about the tree spirits as well is that they also drop a golden seed, and there is one possible square as well that would be get 10 flask charges, which then would be synergetic with that. But not.
It's really interesting, yeah, because I haven't ever thought about the flask charges in that way. The fact that they synergize with tree spirits.
Yeah.
There's another square potentially that says you need to kill bosses that have tree in their name. There's quite a few of them, and tree spirits synergize with that very well.
Yeah. So this board would have been nice for that as well. For example, with like tree sentinel, tree spirits, or tree watchdogs. Yeah. But unfortunately, it's not on the board.
So yeah, this tree spirit is not a boss, but again, the square doesn't say that it needs to be boss encounters. It just needs to be a unique enemy that is not going to respawn. So we're going to head over to this camp. The camp is going to explode.
And these guys are kind of scary to fight as well, because you can't really see much what they're doing, since they're such a big enemy. But there's a lot of sound cues, and they have some visuals that they give you before they do an attack that can kind of make you guess what they will be doing next. And there's a lot of these grab attacks, which are pretty nice because they usually go into a fire afterwards. Not here, but...
Not there either.
Not
That's
there either.
Time, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you did a fire there, that just gives you a lot of punish opportunity. Here again, a very nice dagger, able to attack the head and get the riposte.
Yeah, attacking the head is some extra damage as well. Jump.
Yeah, and you can see even with like the upgraded weapon now here in Altus, and these tree spirits still quite tanky.
Yeah, I mean, we have a +6 weapon, which is very, very good, but we are starting to get, in Altus, we are starting to get into an area that, that's expecting you to have it, so the enemies also have the health bar to kind of,
Yeah.
take a couple more hits than just getting one shot like the Watchdog in Limgrave.
Exactly. which luckily there's not too many things that you usually have to do in Altus, or like pretty much nothing that is past Altus. So +6 will carry you all the way through, especially if you know the fights that are in Altus well enough.
Yeah, so we did a small skip there actually. You can like where I dropped and I took full damage. That's not like an obvious play. There's like a little, well, I should say basically a small puzzle where you're supposed to find your way around, do some platforming, and open that door from the other side to get down here. But you can just drop on that side outside of the grace and get this guy to show up.
Yeah, at this point I'm actually not even sure anymore what the normal way is supposed to be.
Yeah, you have to go from where we like came from, and then there's a ledge that you have to go on. That's gonna hit me, that's fine though. That's exactly what I was basically talking about earlier, that having this extra HP allows me to just trade with the guy.
Yeah, exactly. Don't have to be too scared here.
Okay,
Very
that's
nice.
the second one. And now, this is like a small mistake that I made in the academy as I was running to Renala. I could have easily, or to the Bellbearing Hunter, I could have easily picked up another Stone Sword key, which is like a special, basically.
You're too slow!
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm too slow. Which is basically like a special key item that allows you to open certain fog gates. And this Hero's Grave here at the very start of the game is one of those that needs 2 Stone Sword keys to actually be opened, and I only had 1 available. So this is one of those dungeons that has the infamous chariots. Fortunately, they've been nerfed. They used to one-shot you basically like no matter what health you had. That's different now, but they still deal a lot of damage. And if they hit you in an unfortunate place, you might just fall to your death as well and die from full damage.
Exactly. But yeah, these chariot cycles, like pretty much you can work them out so that depending on where you hide, it's pretty smooth getting through the space.
So Chariot's gonna follow me down here now, but what I can do is I can actually drop to the left side over here in the corner. Drop down on the spot, and that allows me to get to the bottom floor without having to run all the way around the doorway there. And now I can hear that the chariot like returned back to the top, so should be good. A lot of enemies spawning here, but can just kind of mostly run around them.
Yeah.
Dude just shows up.
Spawns right on top of you. Oh, yeah, very nice with the iframe into the fall gate. And that's the last tree spirit. This one is pretty tanky actually. Even though it is in Limgrave, it has quite a lot of HP.
Yeah, this is actually like the highest skilled enemy in the entire Limgrave area.
Yeah. Like even though it's pretty much after Soldier of Godric, if you want to explore that place, if you maybe especially started with the Stone Sword key in the beginning of the game as a keepsake, that's how I actually started the first playthrough. And I just explored this whole thing, and then was met with this huge enemy, and it's kind of quite the big debate as a first boss.
There we go, that's the third tree spirit. Very nice. So yeah, we're gonna head over to Lanedale now, and there's gonna be a really cool strat coming up that I'm a huge fan of. Because there's actually another tree sentinel that is guarding the entrance to Lanedale. And now that I have killed both Godric and Renala, I can enter the capital. This is something that maybe certain casual players might not know. You actually need to kill 2 Shardbearers. So obtain 2 Great Runes to be able to enter the capital. A lot of people are going to have Godric and Renala dead by this point, sometimes even Radan. So they do not encounter this seal there. Another interesting thing is that you also need to go to Round Table before you are able to go into Lanedale, right? So even if you have the 2 Great Runes, if you haven't been to the Round Table Hold yet, you're not going to be able to enter it.
Yeah. You can basically just press B when Melina tells you to go to the round table and say no. And that actually happened quite a few times that in bingo, because to be faster, to do one of the early objectives, you say no at first to go to the round table to save yourself some loading screens and everything, and you don't need the check. And then you forget to check it because you already have a weapon or something like that. And then you need to go to Blackout and are met with Lucille and are confused because you do have 2 sharp bears dead, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a little speedrunning anecdote I have connected to that as well. But first this guy. So there's Draconic Tree Sentinel here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually aggro him and run to the side here. As you can see, I've prepared a shield. I'm going to wait for him to hopefully follow me. Let's see. Here he goes. Jump attack. Parry. Go behind him. Punch. Stagger. Goodbye.
Very nice. Clean.
Huge fan of that cheese. Yeah, so it is pretty funny because it didn't happen just in bingo. At some point, this was when the game was basically releasing, like a couple months after, like 2 months maybe. I was working on routes that took you to Lanedale through Deep Root Depths for the All Remembrances speedrun category. And I did have like a specific way of getting all the way there without having to go to the roundtable hold, and I was like, yo, that's like really sick. It's gonna save like 15 seconds. And then I found out that even when you get through Fias Champions and you open up the teleporter there, the teleporter isn't active until you go to the
Really?
roundtable hold. Yeah, so you cannot enter Lanedale at all.
That's insane. They really want you to check that place.
So here's gonna be another skip that I'm gonna try to do. It's pretty precise in the sense that I have to jump really, really late and then start turning at a very specific point during my jump as well. So let's see. That's too early. It's not going to work. Yeah. I bounced off. So it's really interesting. I don't know exactly how the collision works, why the jump timing is so specific. But yeah, if you jump from like a lower place, basically as you're already kind of dropping off, the game's going to allow you to land on that lower platform like this.
Nice.
And then one more time. And we basically skip having to run around the entire Lanedale.
Alright. Well, for Morgoth's Great Rune, it is still quite a lot of running around though, because you still have to kill Goldfrey, and then you have to go back to the Avenue Balcony and go kill the Omen Twins after you killed Morgoth, and then take the big long elevator ride all the way up to the Great Rune. So that is definitely a huge time sink that you usually also want your opponent to do if possible, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm going to take this Grace just in case. Even though we did the skip so lucky we didn't necessarily have to. But I do want to take the Grace. And then we're going to continue heading over to Spirit Godfrey. But I'm going to run to the right first because that archer there is annoying.
Yep.
Stealth. Doo-doo-doo-doo, Goodbye. Yeah, so that's the cool thing that I really like about Elden Ring is how they incorporated a lot of the individual mechanics that they tried in their different games, like the Sekiro stealth, for example, right, is in this game with the crouch. And I think they really managed to like put together a formula or put together a game that kind of works. Like it just feels smooth to control. The jump button is really good. Compared to the like having to sprint and then plus roll again, or like left analog stick of Dark Souls, which is terrible.
Yeah.
I think this is really, really nice. And speaking of jumping, that's one thing I haven't explained yet. You have seen me jump quite a bit around certain areas. That's because it is actually faster to keep on jumping repeatedly on flat ground and then going uphill compared to just running. Of course, not in combat, because then I'm wasting my stamina. But right now I'm not in combat, so the fastest way to move is to just jump repeatedly. However, if I were to spam jump all the time, I would also just get mini jumps like this. Right? And I wouldn't be moving at all. So what I do is I keep on blocking, and I wait for the character to start blocking. You can see that there's like, I don't know, 2-3 frames of the blocking animation start up. And then I jump immediately again, and that small cooldown, that small delay is completely negated.
Yeah, it's actually pretty fun to do, I would say, as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit more interesting than just running around normally. Reminds me a little bit of like toggling for faster acceleration in DS1. But at the same time, it's also comfier to do. Okay, any axe throwers? There we go.
There you go.
Gonna get hit. That's basically on purpose. Not through the fog wall. You just it's a dual boss fight now. Yeah.
Yeah, as if we didn't have enough dual bosses today. But yeah,
Take the riposte. I'm gonna heal up before he can attack me.
that was another showcase of how important Vigor is, though, to just be able to negate some of these memes that can be thrown at you with Elden Ring. Yeah, some cool strafes to the side of the axe. GG.
That was nice. So it's great. I have 3 talisman pouches now that I can put some talismans into, but I have no useful talismans whatsoever. So
Yeah.
that's kind of rough.
I mean, one nice talisman that you could have picked up while you were running towards like Fort Height or something was the charged talisman.
Yeah, so I didn't pick that up on purpose because I actually didn't want to be too strong for Radahn specifically, but also other reasons.
That's fair. But yeah, with this kind of weapon, you basically want to just go even more into the whole charge attack type thing if you're looking for a build. There's also a flask upgrade or a physic flask that you can use for that.
So let's head over to Morgoth. This is definitely one of the most complex fights in the entire game. It's actually kind of incredible how many different follow-ups and attacks you can do. And you can manipulate a lot of them based on your positioning. There's a lot of things that you can strafe. Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite fights of the entire game.
Yeah, it's very, very fun. And yeah, you can know that how complex this fight is. We know someone who wrote a whole like 50-page guide or something like that on Morgoth, describing every single attack, how to dodge it.
Do I have a stagger here? No.
Oh. Almost. Yeah, here it's interesting. If you dodge straight into him with that hammer, he'll always do those like spinning swords, those multiple swords, for example, as the phase transition.
And we got to delay the phase transition quite a bit thanks to the riposte, because he cannot phase transition after the riposte damage, which allowed us to. Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, there you kind of just want to get out, because this is the. He has like 2 versions of that. One where you can dodge to the left and behind him and punish him, and then that one is just a whole mess.
Yeah, he basically cycles through like all of his spirit weapons, and it ends up dealing a lot of damage. So the fact that I only got clipped by the dagger there was really, really good.
And this was another one where you just kind of want to outspace it. Yeah, this one is nice because you can just hide on his leg and strafe it. This is cool, also can strafe it, a lot of people don't know it. You can also jump it actually, from further away. So yeah, the red swords you can strafe, jump.
Okay, that was Morgoth. So now what I need to do is I need to touch some grass here. Well, kind of burnt grass, but touch that. And then come back to this grace. Melina is going to show up, talk to us.
Yeah, you can't avoid that, unfortunately. So it's kind of frustrating when you want to go fast and then she shows up and wants to tell you her whole life story.
Allow me, you are unprevented the thorns, a husk. the only way and become my purpose. So I'd like to the flame then and guide.
What I
So
like
true.
kind of about this game actually is that there isn't like mashing necessary for anything, right? Thanks to the fact that basically, let's go from Avenue Balcony. Even if you mash as fast as possible, the dialogue is gonna go at a very just specific rate that you max out pretty easily. That means you don't have to mash in this game in order to save time, which, yeah, mashing is not something that I would be a big fan of, so I appreciate that. There's a dude that spawned behind us. We can just leave him alone.
Yeah, sometimes he can throw some projectiles at you, but
You can hear them, so.
yeah, exactly. So can just keep running. Now, making our way to the Fell Twins. But it's quite a lot of running.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking in this area, because there's going to be a massive bridge that we'll have to run over, and for some reason, like, you cannot use torrent there.
Yeah.
While there are areas of the same kind, in Lyria, for example, at the Divine Tower, where you're running over the exact same bridge, it's the same exact model, and you can just use the torrent there, so.
Yeah.
Argic, please go ahead. This is your time.
Very much. We have a $100 donation from Eat All of the Eggs. Very nice username there. They are saying, it's my birthday, and I get to watch a run of one of my favorite games while donating to an amazing cause. What more could I ask for? Thanks to the runner for this great run, to everyone involved in this event. Little heart as well. We also have a $10 anonymous donation, and we've got two donations here that are pretty good. We got a $10 donation from Kesper that says, good luck on the showcase. Great run and great commentary so far. The only thing missing from this spicy showcase is some jelly beans.
Oh no.
I don't know about that. I had one jelly bean, a spicy jelly bean, and that was enough.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Also, happy birthday to the.
Yes,
just
happy
donated,
happy
yeah.
birthday to Eat All of the Eggs. Again, I love that name. That name's a lot of fun.
Great, yeah, it's me every morning at breakfast.
Yeah, there you go. We also have a $10 donation here as well from Kesenchu that says, always amazing seeing catalystz in action, and with such good commentary too, it makes it even cooler. By the way, Dark Souls 2 AA when?
Not this again. I thought I escaped it. Dude, every marathon that I go to, I just get haunted by having to do Dark Souls 2 all achievements. Look, guys, I was young and needed money, okay? So I made some promises, and here we are. Previous donations said that I've changed a lot over the last couple of years. Yeah, well, this hasn't changed. I still haven't done that run.
Oh dear.
All right.
One day, chat. One day.
One day. It's only like 7.8 million channel points in my Twitch stream, so you know what to do.
Only.
It used to be a lot more. Anyways, Fell Twins. These guys hit like a truck because we are in a pretty highly skilled area right now, but their poise is also kind of non-existent, so I can sort of abuse the fact that I can stagger them mid-attack, basically. Here's a riposte as well that I can get now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the other twin so far is not really caring about his sibling.
Yeah, he's just watching while you wreck his twin.
Okay, that's really good.
That's very lucky RNG. And only now is he starting. Oh, very nice.
The depth perception in this arena, because of all the darkness, is actually just insane.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah, there you can see one attack, half the health bar gone. They hit quite hard.
Yeah, I was trying to get a backstab there to interrupt that explosion, but I couldn't get it for some reason. The only scary thing, well, there are a couple, but the main scary thing is that there are some attacks that have hyper armor on, meaning that while I would normally, you know, stagger him like this, during that attack he just poises through it and I don't stagger him whatsoever, and then he can hit me really hard. But that's the Fell Twin number 2. Very good.
Very nice, yeah, and it can surprise you quite a lot. When they hyper armor all of a sudden, like you just having fun staggering them, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, nope, you're dead instead.
All right, so here's one of the Divine Towers. Definitely one of the things that I would have wished they had done with this game is put some more content into these towers. There's some. For example, the one in Dragon Barrow does have parkour and it has a Godskin Apostle at the bottom. I wish they had the time to basically implement some kind of a challenge or puzzle to all of them, but alas, just one long elevator.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe with the DLC.
Surely, yeah. He's too busy working on some swamps, probably.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so now we're just some elevator music, basically. But it is always a good time during these places where you just have to wait around. You can look at the board again. You can kind of think about what has your opponent done, like how far are they in the game, you know. You can kind of determine by the squares they marked, the things they've done, maybe what upgrades they could have gotten. If they maybe did the same weapon checks, like if they are in, if they marked something regarding Stormveil or regarding the Academy, you can kind of guess that they probably did a lot of the axe checks as well. And yeah, it's a good time to do some introspection about your strat.
Yep, that's exactly right. You basically almost always, when you're just running around and you know exactly where you're going, looking at the board all the time. That's basically how I used to play, right? Like, it was very difficult to keep up with chat then. And honestly, watching chat during bingo is also kind of a curse because people are going to be suggesting plays. And even if you know that the play is bad that they're suggesting, it still like kind of messes with your mind. You have to think about, wait, is that play bad, or is that something that I could maybe think about? So I always tried to play just watching chat minimally and paying as much attention as possible to the board whenever there was a little bit of downtime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely one of the best advices you can get for bingo, is just basically also trust yourself, you know, don't listen to if you are having a chat on your side. In the end, even if you have very knowledgeable people in your chat, you know, in the end, when you are in a match, always just like go with your first instinct, because that will be the fastest thing, because otherwise it'll take you some time to think about the play the other person suggested, and yeah, maybe overthink it a little bit too much.
So what I'm doing now, after you finish Morgoth's Great Room, which you saw like took quite a bit of time, that was literally, that's another one of those squares that would be great to force your opponent into, because you have to go into lane del and do all of the stuff that we did just for one square, right? So it would be great if your opponent had to do that instead of you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, after that, I'm gonna go and try to kill the Black Blade Kindred here in Caelid. This is the upper part of Caelid, it's the northern part, so it's quite a bit upscaled because it's Dragon Barrow. It's actually one of the highest scalings in the game, higher than even the Mountaintops of the Giants. This is on par with the Consecrated Snowfield, which is an optional late game area. So that means this guy is going to deal a lot of damage, and I'm not going to deal a lot of damage to him.
Yeah, as you can see, the whole time damage was pretty alright, now not so much anymore.
Yeah, +6.
Yeah, and one more thing about this guy is you can see the arena, right? There's stairs, there's elevation, a slope, there's a bunch of stuff just laying around, some rubble, trees, and it can really meme you when he just jumps around and ends up somewhere where you don't want him to, or the attacks kind of meme you, clip you because of some elevation issue, or you can't hit him or something like that. Maybe quite frustrating, but yeah, headshots here again, very good. And the halberd phase for him is also very nice because you can get a lot of charged attacks off here, so you can stagger him a lot, which then will give you the headshots and riposts, which deals a lot of damage. Yeah, I see already another stagger.
Yeah, so you want to try to go for a jump R2 there, basically, to get the headshot, because the regular R2 hits vertically, so I probably wouldn't be able to hit it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and basically this Kindred switches between a sword and this halberd. So you have to learn 2 movesets for these guys. but they're actually very, very fun to fight. If the arena wasn't so
Yeah.
dumb, I mean, there was a prime example of he was elevated, so you couldn't get the repulse because of that. It's quite annoying. And then here Sword Face, he's quite a lot faster, so you can't get charge attacks, which is not great with this weapon, since you do rely on the stagger a lot for damage. But so far, an amazing fight. It's a very hard boss. Damn.
There we go.
Smooth.
Smooth.
GG. Yeah, very nice.
All right, cool. So that's BBK, definitely one of the scariest enemies in the game. This is one of those fights that, again, like if you manage to master it, very often you would do this with like +4 and no vigor at all, right? Like, oh, your opponent might force you into having to do it super early on, and then you basically have nothing to go with, and you will get one shot. So you have to do it hitless, which I managed to do this time, but I'm chilling, you know? There's no one else marking the squares. Whoever's playing against me, I'm beating him 20-0 right now, so yeah, I'm in a good mood, just having a good time. When you're playing for prize money, when you're playing in front of a lot of people, a lot of eyes watching you, the nerves start getting to you, and yeah, being able to like do these types of fights is really what basically is gonna separate the people that crumble and the people that win.
Yeah. Like, I have to say, I'm someone who struggles a lot with nerves, and I was actually, that was one of the fights where one match I did crumble a little bit under nerves, but then after that, I just, you know, did BBK boot camp, and I think now I could beat him in my sleep no matter how nervous I am, so.
Yeah, well, just don't dream about BBKs, bro.
Yeah, that doesn't sound very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to say, like, Bingo really does push you quite a lot into working on the fights, where if you lose a match to a fight, you also know how that feels with the Redan incident, actually.
That's why I need your help right
Yeah, for me it was the BBK incident, for you it was Redan incident. It really does motivate you and push you to perfect those fights, right? And to not have any incidents happen ever again. And now, like, I think you have one of the cleanest Redan fights I think I've seen, so good stuff. Alright, you can see if we didn't activate the Radan Festival through going through Altus, here you would be met with the Crucible Misbegotten Warrior duo. Now they're not here, and instead you can go straight to Radan. And later on you have to talk to this guy again, who's sitting on a chair after you beat Radan, and then you can go back and kill the Crucible Knight and Misbegotten Warrior duo.
Interesting thing here, I cannot block because we are actually in a non-hostile zone, and you cannot attack, but you cannot block either. So that means in order to reset the cooldown on the jump, I'm actually toggling after every jump. And it is time, guys. You have very generously donated $2,000 to make a wish to make this incentive target come true. So we will try to do our best to not crumble under the pressure.
Oh no, just talking about it.
And do this 2-player, 1-controller Radan fights.
Alright.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So what we do first is we run backwards, actually, in order to basically deload Radan from the map for a bit. Like, he's just out of, like, basically the draw distance, but that glitches out his arrow attack and allows us to just bait him into melee combat immediately. Camera can be sometimes quite annoying in this fight. We try to roll in front there when he's buffing, because that allows us to just get behind. Should be kind of close to a stagger, I feel. There it is. Get the riposte. Very nice. That's okay. And there's the meteor transition. He actually always comes from the direction that you're facing.
You're too slow!
Bruh. So what we do is we try to bait him as close to the grace that we're gonna have to go to as possible. Get behind him here. And now second phase quite a bit scarier than the first one, but let's see what we can do. So that was hitless right there.
Let's go.
2-player, 1 controller. Guys, thank you again so much for your generosity.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for helping me in the fight. I would have struggled greatly.
Of course.
Of course.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so this, if you guys enjoyed this, this could be potentially a sneak peek for ESA Summer, maybe. Because we were able to do an all bosses run of this game, 2-player, 1 controller, without dying a single time recently. So that was quite exciting.
Yeah, that was definitely a moment where I almost crumbled out of pressure, but
Wasn't a speed run, so we could take our time, could calm
Yeah.
down a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we did it. So that was Radan. The reason we needed to fight Radan was not just for the incentive, but because now we have access to Underground, as Pap talked about. We also have access to this Crucible Knight Misbegotten duo fight that is here in Redmane Castle, which will give us another 2-in-1 square. And I have a pretty cool strat for this boss fight, actually, that I'm going to show you.
it's very, very fun.
Yeah, it's very, very fun. So first, what I need to do is actually kill the Lona and Misbegotten. So I'm going to try to bait him as far away as possible from some of the tables on the right side there, because we're in Sweden, you know, IKEA, it's all the good stuff. I want to make sure that none of the furniture gets broken. Okay, maybe I should try rolling attacks as well. I have a stagger very soon after this attack. So now the Crucible Knight is coming in. I said I have a stagger.
Well,
Never mind.
dies instead.
I mean, killing him is a stagger, permanent,
Yes.
I guess. And so I'm going to bait an attack from this guy. And now jumping from the side, I have to make sure that I don't break this furniture. I'm going to jump on this wine barrel. And now the knight is a little bit confused. And he really wants this booty. So what he does is just a whoop. And then I drop down here. And he's like, oh, no, that's next level. And, well, now you can see him floating. And in about 7 seconds, he is going to disappear.
Yeah.
So there's a thing in this game, and in a lot of games, right? So that's a double square right there, and we can go underground. Hope you guys enjoyed that strat. In a lot of games, basically to prevent soft locks from happening, if you like fell under the map, for example, as a player, if something is falling for 12 or more seconds in this game, including the player, it is automatically going to be killed, right? So there are multiple ways that you can die to falling. It can be hitting the ground, so you die to gravity, where the game does a calculation of y coordinates. Or it can be this fall timer, and then there are also kill planes, right? Which are just planes that basically instantly reduce your health bar to 0. Or an enemy's health bar as well. So getting the enemy stuck like that allows you to just, wait those 12 seconds and get them to die instantly.
Yeah. A very cool strat. There's a few strats like that with fall timers, so it's just pretty fun, definitely. But it's also always a little bit of a calculation you have to make if it's faster to wait for the fall timer, or if you have a good enough weapon to just kill them and that is faster, and if you're comfortable enough with the fight.
It's a very good point, because there's a cheese, the exact same type of cheese for Grail, one of the open world dragons. And there it's actually like quite a bit of RNG, how you get the cheese, if it's fast or no. And basically, once you have a +4 weapon, as long as you're familiar with the Dragon moveset, it is better on average to just fight him regularly, even though the cheese looks like it's super free. What was that weird damage boost? I like me getting hit there, skipped the wind-up animation for the sprint. That was really interesting.
Very strange.
And for the Crucible Knight there, it's usually worth it to go for the cheese because the Crucible Knights are quite tanky, so even with a good weapon, it's actually, it can be quite a long fight.
Yeah, exactly.
So here I'm going to quickly rest to get out of combat, and I have to quickly go back to Altus. And that is because I need to talk to this guy, which I had done already, so that's a mistake on my part. I have to come back here. And I have to get a cookbook, which is, I'm not trying to make dinner. I had dinner earlier, but I'm trying to craft a lightning pot. Because in the bottom right corner, we do have that, there we go. We do have that square to kill Mimic tier consumables only. And there's like a pretty cool strat that we can actually do, which ended up being picked up by the speedrun at some point as well. Huh? I'm going to spend the remaining levels on, well, a bunch of dexterity, maybe a little bit of vigor. We're at the end of the run, basically. So now the health bar is looking a little bit juicier. Makes me feel quite comfy. And so normally the Mimic tier, this boss completely mimics your equipment, right? So you enter an arena, the Mimic scans you and then just copies everything that you have, and then you have to fight yourself, essentially. Which, funnily enough, the more vigor you have, the tankier the Mimic is also going to be, so then you're making the boss fight a little bit harder. However, there's a brief period of time where the Mimic blob is actually not fully spawned in. It's just on the ground waiting for you to get close enough. And this we can actually abuse. So that's why I have the lightning pot, and that's why I leveled dexterity. That's why I'm going to use golden wow for extra damage, because the Mimic always has the same amount of HP in that, progenitor form, essentially. So you can see the blob on the ground right there. I'm going to run over to this place. Going to pop golden wow. Okay, let me go a little bit back. I wouldn't want to spawn it. And I'm going to chug the bomb like that. And goodbye. That's the boss fight done, no?
Yep. That's a very nice strat. And you can do that with multiple kinds of pots, like you could do it with a magic pot, fire pot, or anything. But you need very specific stat spreads, and lightning is like the easiest to get the stats for.
Yeah, exactly. The magic pot would have potentially worked if we had gone the meteoric ore blade route, because then we would have had more int, and we would be able to scale that up. And as long as you have golden wow, which, like I said, it's a buff that increases your defense and damage, it is possible to get that done without having to level too many of that, too many of the stats. So now we have 2 more objectives left for the last 3 bingos, basically. We're gonna rest over here so I replenish my resources. And then we're gonna head over to the Dragonkin Soldier, which is, funnily enough, on the lower part of Shifra River here.
Yeah, and I talked earlier about the other way of getting underground, which is that really, really long elevator ride that you can take if you go to the church where you get the physic flask. But of course, that takes a lot of time, right? You just stand there waiting. And so instead, if you have to go here anyway, for example, the Mimic tier consumable only thing, or there's a few other squares that you can do, Vine Gargs, for example, as well. And if then there's also Dragonkin Soldier, you can do this cool parkour strat and get down to that part of the underground.
Yeah, I have to be a little bit careful there. Yeah, without having to go to the elements. Yeah. Yeah, I have to be a little bit careful there because sometimes unstable ground or stable ground in this game can be a little bit of a meme. And the game, in order to calculate fall damage, essentially needs to, it subtracts 2 different Y coordinates. And in order to be able to do that, you need to stand on stable ground, and it needs to like save your position, essentially. And that ground there sometimes doesn't like to do that. So the game would be very eager to just kill me there. Cool strat for this Dragonkin Soldier is to just stand behind his leg.
Yeah.
And then he keeps on spinning, and I kind of spin with him.
Exactly.
Get stagger there. Gonna try to hit the head. Get the riposte.
And he's pretty much dead. Very
Pretty
nice.
much that.
And there in the waterfall, there's also a talisman that for one of the objectives would be very synergetic. Like it's very interesting throughout bingo when you learn all the squares that exist in a pool, and then the more you learn about the different squares, you'll be able to think about more synergies that you can work with.
And yeah, we're going to be approaching the final objective very shortly. Our geek is getting ready to leave us for now, which I'm obviously saddened about, but maybe next time you can just like crawl back underneath here.
Yeah.
just crawl there. Right, I'm off. Before I do go there, we do have a massive $180 donation here from Mindless Pit that says, had to donate during Elden Ring. Such an awesome game. And we do agree with that as well. DLC coming soon. I know you're excited about that.
Of course.
But yeah, we're going to jump back up there. We'll leave you to it on the final one here.
Yeah, so we have the final objective, which is the Valiant Gargs. They are similar to the BBK that we fought just recently, Blackblade Kindred in Dragon Marrow. However, there's going to be 2 of them, and they suck. Because this is one of the traits we just talked about how awesome Elden Ring is, and that's absolutely true, but sometimes it loves to take 2 enemies, which individually are pretty good, and just put them together without any other consideration, and this is one of those things, so...
Yeah, and one thing added, for example, as well, is the beautiful poison that a lot of people know about with these guys. The poison cloud doesn't only poison you, but it also already deals damage to you. So it is really annoying to deal with, especially if there's 2 of them. And if they both spit a poison at you, you have to manage your positioning. You maybe lose like some poison damage. Yeah, exactly. Here you have to run away. Already built up a lot of poison damage before to get a stagger, which is now gone probably because it is on the timer, right? So you attack, build poison damage at a certain value, you get a stagger, but if you don't attack for a certain time, then that will start resetting.
Yeah, so the strat for this basically most of the time is try to like build a stagger just as the second gargoyle is about to jump in, because that happens at a specific HP threshold. Oh, this is fun.
Yeah, great.
And so then you get the stagger on the first gargoyle as the second one jumps in, and you try to get as much damage as possible so you can finish off the first gargoyle before the second one really has a great chance to join the fight. But, well, the second one just left, and this guy's just AFK. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, and one way to keep up the poison damage that you build, for example, that's why Kata equipped the cookeries. And here you can see how annoying the poison is, because the second one off screen just spits it at you and you get damaged. But yeah, why Kata equipped the cookeries is to throw it at the gargoyle when he can't be close to them because of the poison. To just like, if you hit it with them, it makes it so that the timer doesn't reset. You can keep that poison damage active.
So there was a opportunity to punish the Axe Gargoyle right there, but I couldn't because Toxic was coming in again. And one more time that's happening right here.
Yeah, that's quite frustrating with these guys.
That's okay, dudes.
Yeah, this is definitely not the nicest gargoyles fight I've ever seen, in the sense of they are being very mean, very aggressive, lots of poison.
Okay, that guy's almost dead. Once it's one-on-one, it's gonna be a lot better. Nice headshot there.
Yeah, one key thing is here to just try to manage their position.
Ah!
Oh!
Fred, watch this. Boom.
Very nice. Yeah, managing their positions if it's 2 of them is very important so that they don't gang up on you. But it is very, very hard to do. Like if you try out these fights yourself, if you've never played Elden Ring, I definitely encourage you to try out all these fights yourself and see how hard they actually are. That makes them look very easy.
Yeah, that's like, I like the moveset of this Gargoyle quite a bit because there's a lot of cool strafes that you can do. I didn't have stamina to roll there. And well, this should be the last charge R2, and there's the Gargoyle, and there's the board. 3, 2, 1, time.
GG. Very good.
Yeah, well, this was pretty smooth, I must admit, considering we went 4 minutes over estimate with 2-player, 1 controller, even though that was really smooth. I just have to make an excuse. No, honestly, randomly generated board with random objectives, randomly generated starting classes, randomly placed weapons. We managed to hit the estimate pretty much perfectly. I'm super happy about that. Thank you so much, Pup, for joining me on commentary. You did a great job for your first event. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. So can we get a round of applause for Pup's first commentary job? I thought that was brilliant.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. And yeah, if you are interested in Elden Ring Bingo and randomizers and stuff like that, you can follow both of us, twitch.tv Puppery or twitch.tv catalystz. And yeah, maybe we'll be back in the summer. Thank you so much, ESA, for accepting this. I always feel a little bit nervous about, submitting things that are not pure speedruns, as I've done that for years and years and years. And so I appreciate having the chance to showcase this, and I hope that everybody enjoyed it. Thank you very much for your generosity, and until next time, take care.